All right, everyone, this is going to be decidedly unmetal, but fucking awesome.
Rabbi Yehuda, why do women wear scarves or wigs on their heads?
For respect.
My name is Viviana Nieves. What's yours?
The same way it is forbidden for a man to touch any woman other than one's wife.
Moshe, the children.
I had a dream.
This way. I like it like that.
Hashem told you to dance in a tango contest?
A Gentile dancing teacher wants to tango with you?
Dance.
In the TV contest?
No, you're a lunatic. She's a bad mother.
You might find there's no need to touch this woman in tango.
How can I achieve my goal without sacrificing my sacred beliefs?
We're gonna kick him right out of the community.
I got big problems.
Big problems can be such big fun.
How do we convince people that a young, pretty shiksa dancing partner is just a young, pretty shiksa dancing partner?
She should be dressing very modestly. You cannot even touch her hair. You cannot even have eye contact with her. If I understand the communication from that dance tango, it's impossible. Why are you hoping that he sins?
We've got work to do.
We should be praying that he doesn't sin.
I never had a best friend before.
Who is that?
Hey, this goes out to Hungry Boy. Hey, Hungry Boy. Yeah, I'm gonna get a tasty XLR mic. But you know what? I want to get one of those Shure mics. They're $400. Slowly but surely. Slowly but surely. Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse. Very sober compared to last weekend. And I am here with a great episode, great guests tonight for Midnight Metal. I got one of the coolest cats on the internet. I got Pauly from Latino Slant. I don't think there's anybody cooler. And by the way, if you don't subscribe to his YouTube channel right now, I'll come beat your ass with the sword of Excalibur. So you should all run over and go subscribe to Pauly from Latino Slant just because I told you to. And if you don't, it's your loss. I've also got, you know her, you love her, you're seeing her all over the internet, and she's going to tell you something that's very exciting that's coming down the pike. She is hosting a show on the Burnettwork. She's got a 6-episode, maybe more, show about He-Man with Bunyan snot. Well, I'm gonna let her tell you. So please, everyone, put your hands together for Pauly from Latino Slant. And how are you all tonight?
Hi, good to see you both. Hi.
You feeling fucking metal, you two?
Yes, so metal, Midnight Metal, Robert and Pauly, Midnight Metal.
That's right. Pauly, are you metal?
Midnight Metal.
That's what I'm talking about.
Crazy now.
Crazy.
But keep our voices down because Mrs. Slant is asleep.
Yeah, but I can tell you're feeling fucking metal tonight, brother. Yeah. By the way, I just want to say that Pauly's channel, I think Latino Slant, is quickly becoming one of the coolest vibes on all of YouTube. the guests you're bringing in, the focus on music, the people you have on your show. Really cool channel. I like to watch it, seeing it develop, and I want to thank you for making me a part of it, sir.
Oh, yeah, you are a part of it. Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for the invite tonight.
Yeah, well, it's good to have you. Now, you've got something to announce. I actually haven't talked to many people about this, but the week, in the midst of trying to get... By the way, you guys, I know I showed you the trailer for Tango Shalom. For those of you who don't know, well, maybe you do, it's a movie that I produced and edited, and it is coming out theatrically in New York and Los Angeles on September 3rd, the same day as Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings. And once you go see Shang-Chi, it's really important for the life of this poor indie movie. Not poor, but it's an indie movie. We got to pack the theaters. And you know what? If you ever wanted to see an indie Jewish spiritual quest family dance comedy fable, well then, Tango Shalom is your movie. And you know what? Even if you never did, do it for me. So plan on it. I can't tell you which theaters it's opening in, but it's opening in very good theaters in both New York and Los Angeles. So, support the arts, man. I know
That was
maybe,
awesome.
although if you go see Tango Shalom, the very act of you going to see it is fucking metal. So, yeah, I spent 5 years of my life getting that bad boy put out, and it's getting a theatrical release. But that's fine. But you know what? We've got making an announcement. Why don't you tell us what? You're actually the first person. I really thought that it was going to be Roberto Suarez and Alex down in Colombia. I thought their show, which by the way has the greatest name ever, the first. I'm going to copy Pauly. It was going to be an all Spanish show. It's still going to be an all Spanish show. A collaboration between a Puerto Rican and a Colombian, which I'm very excited about. Puerto Rico. But you know who the first person to have a show on the Burnettwork is? You. So what is your show? And tell us what is coming the week that I'm gone, beginning Monday the 23rd. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'll be gone Saturday the 21st through the 28th. I will not be there. But for 6 of those days, what's going to be on the Burnettwork?
Yes, Robert, I'm so excited to announce that the new show on the Burnettwork is called PGS All-Stars. And the show is going to air, as Robert said, when he's away during that week. And it's going to be featuring 2 very special PGS members, the Richard and Tony Bunyan Snipe. And they're going to be talking about Masters of the Universe.
And what are they going to? Are they going to is it going to be controversial? Or are people going to be crazy? Am I going to have to what am I? Because this show's not since the Last Jedi has something. By the way, Pauly disappeared. I hope Pauly comes back. Not since the Last Jedi have we had such controversy in the fan community. What's up with that? So, what do you think? Is this going to be a show that is it going to piss anybody off or what?
I don't think it's going to piss anyone off. I think that, it's great to hear their opinions, and the show is meant for the PGS members. So, ideally, we want to have on more PGS members and talk about what your likes are and what your dislikes are, and just enjoy and be positive about the PGS community. So hopefully it won't be too controversial, and it's going to be something that everyone will love.
Well, what I love about it is that both the Richard, who hopefully I can use his artwork in the opening of the show,
Yes.
both and Bunyan Snipe are fanatical about He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. And obviously the show's controversial. I was a little old for it when it came out, but I love hearing other people's passion. Even look, if people are passionate, I don't care if you're telling me about horticulture. If you're passionate about something, I am there for you. I will watch it. I will listen to it. And, we can only talk about Marvel movies, Star Wars, and, Star Trek. I can only rail on Discovery so much. So, I'm excited about that. But now I got to tell you, the reason why I wanted to bring you both on, because I kind of wanted to talk about, I've been having sort of an existential crisis in my life, in the sense that You know, all I've ever wanted to do is the same thing, which is make movies. And I've had a journeyman's middling career. I've stayed in the business for 30 years. And, you know, it gets to the point where you're like, are you still going to, like, be like Sisyphus and push the boulder up the hill and have it roll back down on you? Like, is there ever going to be a time when you give up? And both of you are people that are, like, you know, you're kind of connected to the music world, the EDM music world, and Polly, I mean, obviously you're very connected to music as well, and of course, the lady in your life is an actress, and that is a tough life, and yet, I always find the artistic impulse is something that you can't get away from. It's almost like if it grips you from a young age, there's nothing you can do, and I often think, like, maybe I should walk away and become a social worker and do something, because that would be more a life that has more security in it than trying to get movies made. I mean, how many people want to see an indie spiritual quest family dance comedy fable? You know, and it's so hard to get movies made, and now content more than ever is disposable. So the question is, do we want to do it? And one of the things that really has, that I found wacky is Cameron Diaz. And Cameron Diaz basically, who had a great career, you know, she was really broke out with Jim Carrey in The Mask, and had basically a 25-year career where she became one of the biggest actresses in Hollywood, and she did some really, really great work. I mean, even she was in movies like that I love, guilty Rob Burnett pleasures like The Holiday. I love The Holiday, and she's in that movie. And today, Lexi Perez wrote actually it was now yesterday, but wrote an article, and I wanted to share it with you both and get your take on it. It was in the Hollywood Reporter today, and it's Cameron Diaz. She says, the title of the article is Cameron Diaz reflects on stepping away from acting, quote, I feel whole. And during a sit-down interview with Kevin Hart on Thursday, and by the way, I'm just happy not to talk about Kevin Hart and Don Cheadle. I'm very happy to talk about it. If you haven't followed that, it's awesome. Look it up. Don Cheadle was trending today. It's amazing. Anyway, during a sit-down interview with Kevin Hart on Thursday on his new Peacock show, Heart to Heart, Diaz opened up about how acting occupied much of her life, which ultimately led her to take a step back. Cameron Diaz is reflecting on why she decided to step away from acting. During a sit-down interview with Kevin Hart on Thursday, she said, when you do something at a really high level for a long period of time, you're the person who's the talent. All parts of you that isn't that has to sort of be handed off to other people, the 48-year-old explained. She went on to explain that from the spotlight perspective, it's as if she was a machine. But for her personal spiritual self, she realized when she was 40 years old that the part of her that functioned at a high level wasn't enough. She also reiterated that though she has a love for acting, there were so many parts of her life that she wasn't touching and wasn't managing. For me, she says, I just really wanted to make my life manageable by me, she explained. My routine in a day is literally what I can manage to do by myself, and it's the best feeling. After embracing a more simplistic life rather than having blinders on and constantly feeling as if she was going, Diaz says, I feel whole. She also says that during her time away from the spotlight, she met her now husband and has since started a family. All of those things I didn't have time for before. Diaz married her husband, Benji Madden, in January 2015. Last year, the couple announced the birth of their daughter, Radix Madden. Diaz's last acting credit was in the 2014 remake of Annie, in which she starred as Miss Hannigan. I mean, that's 7 years ago. In Hollywood time, she might as well have fallen off the flat earth. Diaz also reflected about retiring from acting during a discussion with Gwyneth Paltrow. She said, I've got peace in my soul because I finally was taking care of myself, she said. There's a lot of energy coming at you at all times when you're really visible as an actor and doing press and putting yourself out there, and I'm sensitive to energy. She also explained that she needed to take responsibility for her life, and that's my job. There's lots of things I had to iron out, and a lot of relationships I had to repair. A lot of relationships I had to build that were absent in my life, she said at the time. She has since launched her own wine brand called Aveline. For the record, I would love to do that. I'd love to have a winery. So the question that I want to ask the two of you, and I guess I'll start with you, Paulie. You know, a life in art is something that you don't necessarily choose. It kind of chooses you. And we always heard the stories of the great painters. They were basically broke until they died, and then people discovered how great they were, the grand masters, and then suddenly their paintings are in the Louvre or something. And so I want to ask you, if the artist's life has chosen you, should you shun it? Should you embrace it? I mean, you I think you have the artist's soul yourself, but then you're ladies an actress. You obviously talk to a lot of musicians and a lot of artists. And is it something that you should embrace? Is it, I mean, to me, being an artist, and when I say artist, I mean a filmmaker, a musician, a writer, I think it's a lifelong avocation that you can't necessarily walk away from. What do you think?
Yeah, I think like you said in our pre-show talk, it's a calling, and it's a calling from your soul. And you know, okay, so that's one thing. In our society, it's very hard to make a living being an artist, whatever the medium is.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why there's so many, out of work artists, and they're trying to make ends meet just to do their art. So we're not even talking about what is success, as far as making a living off your actual art, because the success is doing your art, right? It's
the process.
It's
I mean, it's not the end goal. It's the actual making of it. It's I think a lot of people think it's the accolades and the winning at the end, but for anybody who's actually doing it, it's the process. It's the making. It's the doing.
Yeah. So, what's interesting is that I got, relationships, friendships with, different types of artists at different points in their career right now. The lead singer of Santana, or to an unsigned musician. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. Like, they're always consumed with creating something. Even though one is fully paid, and you can hear their music on television shows or whatever. They're still creating. They're always hungry. Now those are the ones that have been successful and just now do it for the paycheck, and that's something else. That just becomes commerce.
Bruce Willis.
Yeah. Well, you almost can't fault artists when they become successful, because it's like, well, shoot, you earned it. So yeah, that's kind of like my first impressions there. I mean, there's a lot more,
Sure.
but that's my first impressions on the artist's life. Yeah.
Well, now, I mean, obviously you deal with a lot of people in the EDM scene, and you know artists yourself. I would ask you the same question. What is your impression of the artist's life, and is it something like Cameron Diaz walked away? I mean, admittedly, she was probably at the height of her game. She commanded millions of dollars in paychecks, and she did a lot of incredible work, and she's sort of indelible. I mean, and she just said, you know what? It's because it is a crazy life. When you're an actor, especially actors, it's a very strange world to live in. And she had a good run. And my question to you then is, like, what is the half-life of an actor? If you have a 25-year run, is that enough? Like, I mean, I look at someone. A lot of my favorite actors are character actors, like a guy like John Lithgow. You know, he was in one of my favorite movies, All That Jazz, in 1979.
Right.
You know, and he's still acting. You know, he's going to appear as the Trinity Killer or whatever in the new season of Dexter. He's coming back. So what do you think? I mean, is it possible, if you have the soul of an artist, to walk away and give that up, do something else?
Yeah, this is a good question. And I imagine that a lot of artists struggle with this dilemma maybe every day. You know, if you have a calling for art, you know, that calling, it just doesn't really go away. So, you know, whether you're an actor or a musician, painter, these passions, they don't leave you. So it's something that, you know, you have to make a conscious choice to set aside if you decide that's not what you're going to pursue. Now, in the case with Cameron Diaz, you know, she mentioned how she just wasn't happy anymore.
Right.
And so, you know, I think that alone tells you that if she was in a position where she felt she could step away, she would. But there are a lot of us out there who are, you know, in careers and doing things that we're not happy with. So, you know, I think that she also stated she wanted to have more control over her life. And I think what's very interesting about this is that, you know, and we do know a little bit more about like the life of an actor, but there's a lot of sacrifices they make when they take a role or, you know, go on auditions or whatever they're doing from their normal day-to-day operations. It's a lot. And it's very long days often. And I don't think people realize that, you know, if your employer told you that you had to work a 12 to 15 hour day, most people would say, I'm not doing that. You know,
Right.
I'll work an 8-hour day or maybe 10 hours, but they're very long days and it's not always in a comfortable situation and you don't really get a break. So I think that when we're seeing a lot more of what it takes to, you know, even do just a regular production, you know, it's a lot of sacrifice. But also, one other thing that I absolutely feel is necessary to talk about is, you know, Cameron Diaz is very, very successful. So, you know, she's worked for so many years and, you know, any other person or maybe even in some other careers might say, you know, a 20-year, 30-year career is good enough. And, you know, I think that, you know, the demand or the desire to continue to work should at least, you know, be stronger. The desire to continue to work should be stronger than maybe necessarily the demand on you to work. So, you know, it's like if that's what's driving you and it keeps you sort of, you know, in that particular area, great. And it may not be the outcome that you always want, which is something else that as an artist, you have to kind of accept. So, you know, you have expectations of your work and you may be very happy with it. But, you know, sometimes, you know, the reception to it may not be what you hoped for. Yeah. But that doesn't stop you from still wanting to be an actor. You know, nothing is going to stop you from that pull. So I think that, you know, if you are an actor who is lucky enough to be successful, it might be a question that you are asking yourself every day: is this worth it? Do I want to keep going? And I think also nowadays, let's say in 2021, the level of privacy for successful actors is zero.
Zero. Yeah.
So, you know, now we're talking about an atmosphere where, you know, actors are unfortunately under a lot of unnecessary criticism. You know, there's no reason for people to be so critical of them. And yet, you know, something like what Cameron Diaz is doing, where she's walking away after a long time of acting, it wasn't sort of, you know, a few short years. You know, I think that a lot of people might look at that and criticize, you know, almost as if she's turning her back on something that, you know, is a gift or however it might be interpreted. But an artist has to do what's right for them.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that the only artists who I would say maybe don't get as much of a choice are some child actors. This is not a dig on child you know, like the parents of them. But, you know, we've heard stories of actors who are, you know, very, very young. And then when they grow up, they talk about how, you know, it wasn't quite the experience that they thought it was going to be.
Right.
So, you know, I think we have to be very careful. So many of these actors have spent over 20 years of their life just even getting their foot in the door.
Yeah.
So when they do get this success, they've already put in 20 years. I mean, can you imagine any other profession where it takes 20 years for you to just even get to that point? So, I just think that we have to kind of appreciate that the art in itself requires, that much dedication, that essentially it's your whole life, and can be consuming to a point where I think maybe that's the situation with Cameron Diaz, where it became so consuming that she wasn't herself anymore. So, it's a lot to think about, and I think that we can all appreciate watching, these performances on the screen, but we also need to think about the other parts of, being away from their family and friends, and, those long hours and the sacrifices that they made, to get there.
Paulie,
Wow.
we have Clint Baker sends in a super chat and says, I think you're going to like this. I'm a guy who is a Columbia Records artist. I had my heyday, and now I'm just a normal guy. I know where I'm at in my mid-40s. What do you think you'll be doing when the smoke settles? Interesting question. And you know a lot of musicians. I mean, what do you think about that?
That's a fantastic super chat. Thank you, Clint. God, Arun brought up so many great points. And, I interview actors, young, very young right now that are successful, and then I know older artists as well. It's amazing to see, where they're going, and it's amazing. Then it's amazing to see the ones that stop talking to you because they get really successful.
Sure,
and that happens. That just happens. Their Rolodex gets too full. You, Clint, thank you for that, because what Mrs. Slant has is she's grounded. She comes from a great family. She gets life, and that is getting her through all the rejections, the day in, day out of what it means just to be a working actor trying to get their next job. And she's considered successful, 3-4 jobs a year. I mean, millions of actors would die for her career, and yet it's not enough, right? For her, it's she want the goal is series regular on a television show. She's very close. She's caliber. She went to Rutgers master acting school for this. She is trained. So that doesn't it's not a guarantee of success. When I think of Cameron Diaz, so with Clint, yes, and any actor, or any artist, if you're good after the dust settles, after your success or whatever your career's path is, then my hat's off to you. That's wonderful. It's wonderful. You entertained and meant a lot to a lot of people, and that's what it means to be an entertainer. At the end of the day, to be an artist, you're just showing, like Shakespeare says, showing a mirror to society. So it's great stuff, man.
Well, it's funny what Clint. It's interesting. I mean, he says he was a Columbia Records artist. I mean, I don't know Clint's background. By the way, he actually said something else first. He said, "Damn it, Rob. I did an Amazon search to look for Tango Shalom. I hope that it screens in Austin, Texas. If so, I'll be there. I'm stoked to see your vision on the big screen." Well, look, I just produced and edited the movie, and I came in after the fact, and I have to give all the credit to Gabriel Bologna, the director. But even if it doesn't come to Austin, Texas, it will be on VOD on October 29th, so it'll be everywhere. So, but I wanted to continue to address what Clint was saying. I mean, here I'm fascinated by the idea that you achieve your goal, you become a recording artist. There's a lot of there was a kid that lived in my neighborhood named Barty Martin, who ended up in a band called Candlebox, and they had a great song called "Only You" off their first album. It was like a post grunge. I mean, it was a Seattle band, but like he lived in my neighborhood growing up, you know, and Kevin Martin, the lead singer of Candlebox. I mean, I went to school with these guys, and I had no clue that they were gonna be in a band. Like, I didn't know, because they were 2 years below me. I was a senior and they were sophomores. But when I bought that album, I loved the first Candlebox album, and you know, I think they were signed to Maverick, to Madonna's label. They did a couple albums and stuff, and I was so happy for them. And I'm like, my God, a kid in my neighborhood. There's another kid who's Matt Damon's assistant. My my little neighborhood where I grew up, I can't believe it. I mean, it was like, and what was really interesting was, like, you know, Candlebox recorded albums, and they did a more recent album, but you know, everybody thinks. I was having a conversation tonight with Elizabeth about, you know, this potential future project and how much money would I make with it, and she, you know, she's thinking practically, as women do. Mm-hmm. So what are you gonna do? You can't follow your bliss for the rest of your life. And that's it was funny, because I was thinking about this topic, and I'm like, well, you know, I make movies because I like the process of making movies. It would be great. I've never been paid what I think I'm worth, ever, because I've never had a great commercial success, because I've jumped around. You know, I haven't just focused on, if I was just an editor, like somebody like, you know, but I like producing, and I like writing, I like all this stuff, and I'm a social animal. So, you know, maybe my nose is not I just like shit. I like too much shit. I've never focused. But I don't want to change. Like, I said to Elizabeth tonight, I said, look, this potential project is a series of $3 million movies. And if it were to happen, so if you're producing a $3 million movie, now obviously you have to make the movie. So you're not going to get paid a lot. Like, as the producer, if you've got $3 million to make a movie, I mean, if you got paid $50,000 as the producer, that's pretty good. That's like a good paycheck. And look, unlike Tango Shalom, which took 5 fucking years, I wouldn't. But if it took 6 months and I made 50 grand and I got a movie, I'm like, I'm stoked. Like, if I could make a $3 million movie a year for the next 20 years, I'm like, I would love that. I'm never going to get rich. I'm never going to be driving, you know, a Lamborghini. The Lamborghini is coming out with a new Countach. I loved the Lamborghini Countach when I was a kid. I would love to have one. Never could afford it on that salary. But I would be happy. I would be happy if I could make a $3 million movie a year for the next 20 years. Now, I don't know if Elizabeth would be happy, but I would be, you know, because that you follow your bliss. And that's the question. Like, and then it's such a pain in the ass. Like, this project could be $1 million to 1. I mean, the movie that I'm working on now would cost $70 million. Am I going to get to make it? I've wanted to make it for 33 years. Probably not. Who knows? But you know what? I haven't given up. I'm still working on it, storyboarding it, scripting it, doing all this work. The question that I have is, do you give up? I say to Clint, he says, I'm the guy who was a Columbia Records artist. I had my heyday, and now I'm just a normal guy. Now, my question to you, Clint, and I would actually want to bring you on the show. You had your heyday, and now you're a normal guy. The question I have to you is, are you happy? And you did get to taste the heyday. You did get that success. You did feel it. And was that enough? You know, for me, I don't need great. I've never had great success. I just love the process. I love that I'm still in the game. Mm-hmm. And so that's the real question. And so let me ask you, what do you think? I mean, at the end of the day, what's the most important thing? If you have the soul of an artist, is creating enough, or do you need commercial success? Do you need the recognition of the rest of the world, or not?
Well, I don't think commercial success is necessary, and we can see that that's true because there are so many artists whose level of success may not be considered commercial. Being an artist is about pursuing the dream of performing your art, and oftentimes, that's satisfying to the performer. Now, I think that the other sort of side question to this is about how do you rate success as an artist for your own individual rating. And I think that when you decide to pursue a career in the arts, you have to kind of say to yourself, well, my goal is to be a performing artist, and I want to do theater. And set a goal for yourself. And oftentimes these goals that you set can lead to even greater accomplishments. And it's true that there are people who say when they go into acting they want to be a Hollywood actor, or they want to be a producer or a director. And all those things are wonderful, and we need people to continue to go into this field and pursue their dreams. So I definitely encourage that. But I also think that, going into it, I think that it is challenging, and, you have to kind of define your success by each project that you do. You certainly, like, for example, if you all of a sudden decide that you want to obtain a role in a musical, and, obviously you may have auditioned for the lead in the musical, but let's say you didn't get the lead and you ended up getting another position or another part, equally a fantastic accomplishment in its own. Are you going to say to yourself that I wasn't successful? I think that as long as you can perform your art, and it may not be necessarily in the locations you want, as long as you can still perform, you are going to find some level of happiness. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the individual artist is going to feel like they're a success. So
right.
It really is something that I think people struggle with, not just in the arts, but in other fields as well.
A great point you made. Now, I have to say, a recent supporter of this channel is Jaimin D. And he's been very generous to the channel. Jaimin D says, by the way, I just want to say, every time listening to Polly's humble voice makes me feel that everything's all right. Thank you for being the way you are in this galaxy called YouTube. Okay, now, Polly, let me ask you, since Jaimin D, a great supporter of this channel, is obviously a fan of yours, which is great, I would ask you, you jumped in to YouTube, and, now a lot of people think it's very funny because, to me, people that have regular YouTube channels, they're like Johnny Carson. You're broadcasting to the world. You're putting yourself out there. You're putting on a show. And a lot of people might not see it that way, but trust me, I've been on YouTube now for 6.5 years. I got on YouTube on Collider in April of 2015. I've only had my own YouTube channel for 2.5 years, but I will say that anybody who jumps in, especially now, is an artist and somebody who takes it seriously. And I would say that one of the great things about you is you, Polly, have Latino Slant is not only supporting a culture, but you're also elevating the discourse. And, your channel is making people aware. You're celebrating artists. I would say you are adding to the tapestry of our culture, which is not something that every YouTube channel is doing. And I would ask you, why do you do it?
Oh, well, I'm having a good time. you gotta have a good time first and foremost. I mean, why are you on a show with Az talking about action figures? We fucking love it. Why are we up at midnight? Talking about this stuff. We love it. You have to love it. You have to love what. I know it sounds very hokey. Maybe it's Yeah, I know it's my, kind of like my background of just of kind of when I wasn't sober, and when I was just, kind of just living upside down. I really didn't respect the work that I did. Now it's completely different.
Mm.
I like, then I remember my sobriety going in with my martial arts, and it really helped me get through a lot of dark times. With martial arts, it is a long journey, and
It's
so
a lifelong journey.
yeah, it's just being is really, enjoying and being present. So, um, that's really helped me. I when this lockdown happened in LA last year, we don't know what the hell was going on, and I was doing a kind of making money through other means, but I remember you guys, like, having channels, and I would listen about, Star Wars and what's going on, and
The important stuff.
right, people complaining and like, oh yeah, this shit's not right. But so I had more time at the house, and I was just, watching you guys, and I was like, well, let me just talk about stuff I like, and that was it. That's been it. I got to remind myself to keep having a good time, because sometimes I want, the perfectionist, I want to, like, make sure there's good, this show and that show. So, yeah, but thank you, Jaimin, and I think when you say his voice makes me feel everything's I. I
Well,
love it.
I have to say he's not wrong. I mean, I think you do have what I love about you is you have a very calm demeanor, and I feel that you might be having a good time, but you also at the same time you bring in the art. Having a good time. It's like on Midnight Metal. It's so funny. I'm being looking at it. She'd be like, "Fuck yeah, dude! One fucking Midnight Metal!" Ah! I mean, that's kind of what the show is supposed to be. But Friday nights has kind of become the introspective Midnight Metal, and then
Intro
Saturday
metal.
nights is like, let's get rocked. Ah! But
Yeah.
to me, I mean, it's all about discourse. It's all about the hopefully we're adding something to the tapestry of the world. And one of the things that I found with your channel, my involvement with your channel has always been, I always feel very fulfilled when I've ever, like, you've had great conversations, and the things that you and Tom from Midnight Metal,
Midnight
from
Metal.
Midnight's
Love
Edge,
it.
put together, and really great. And I feel like whenever you're involved with something, I feel that, oh, this adds to the tapestry of the world. Like, if Polly's involved, then it's something that elevates the discourse. And I that's just how I think of you. And so tonight, I was like, I know it was last minute. I'm like, dude, come on the show. And because when I always think of elevating the discourse, I kind of think of you. And take that as you will, but it's true. That's how I feel that way. And I mean, what do you think? What do you think about Paul? You've streamed with him. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of streaming with Paulie on more than one occasion, and the last time that I streamed with him, it might have been karaoke, but I've also had the pleasure of streaming with him on looking at the top Latino films of 2021.
Mm.
And it was such a fantastic show, and yes, it is true. It was a lot of fun, and the thing about Latino Slant that I love is that I feel that the channel that he's created and what he's doing is really significant to every American, because we need to learn more about the Latino culture, but also the history of Latinos in the United States. And one example of that was, I think it was Memorial Day, Paulie, for your the Hero Street broadcast. And I knew nothing about this. And I remember watching it with my mother, and she knew all about it. But I had never heard of it before, and it just shows you the importance of the history that we haven't had the privilege of learning about previously, and so from that one point, your channel, as far as I'm concerned, is extremely important in the YouTube world, but also.
Agreed.
Yeah. Also, the other thing that I love about your channel is, well, obviously, you bring on other artists that we all love. So this is, obviously, the La Bamba episodes. I remember being in high school and loving that film, and I still love it. And so, it still has a very special place for me. But the third thing that I like is that you bring people together. And often for good causes as well. So, it's an impactful channel, and the guests are always amazing. It's really, I think, a very special contribution to the arts, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, so
I mean,
can I wait?
this
Let
is
me
very
ask
nice.
you. Let me
This is very nice,
ask you
but-
though.
Yeah, okay.
I gotta ask you. So, do you feel what you do with your channel is in itself art?
Yes.
Me?
Yeah,
It's
you, man.
definitely-
I mean, I would say that you're
It's art.
you've become an artist yourself.
No,
Mhm.
no, I don't.
Now, why do you say that?
I'm just documenting. I'm just I'm just sharing. I'm
Don't
like
tell
basically
Ken
sharing my
Burns that. Come
But
on.
Paulie,
I'm just sharing my record collection in a sense. I'm sharing, stuff I like. I do other things where I create, I write or whatever. That is a completely different process than this. So I don't. Yeah.
I don't mean to put you
Yeah.
on the spot, but I
No,
but
no,
I-
it was like, I thought we were going to talk about Cameron Diaz and shit. It's like, why are we talking about
Well,
that?
I personally
Well,
feel
it's
an
because
art creator because, first of all, YouTube categorizes all of us, who stream and record on YouTube as creators. But most importantly, documentation of creation is also an art in itself. I mean, when you think about special features in films or documentaries of things, this is what you're doing, and that, in a sense, is a form of creation, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I mean, it's like music, all music uplifts, and I always remember that line, in Immortal Beloved, where Gary Oldman says, bullshit, a marching tune. Its purpose isn't to uplift; it's to keep time with soldiers or whatever it was. Like there's just different degrees of art. There's just different degrees of YouTube creators. I think that's all. That's all. It is. I mean, I think it's cool. It's a lot of fun, and there's times where I want to rage or complain, so I'll listen to that creator. There's times where I want to find out more about a particular subject. I'll listen to another person. But no, man. I just I like it all. I like it all. And now that there's a couple bucks coming through every month, it's like, oh, okay, well, what I used to do was hands-on with people. That's gone away because people aren't really doing the hands-on
right.
thing right now. And that in a way was very fulfilling. Let me do this, and just
But Paulie,
yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong. You also are a philanthropist
Huh?
with when you're raising money for the theater.
I don't know. Robert, did you invite me? Was this a trick so we could just Let's talk about something else, man.
Dude. Okay, I understand. Okay. Look. We're gonna get.
I love you two guys.
Let's
I
get
love you two
fucking
guys.
metal. Hey, look, I don't
Yeah.
know. I never know. The great thing about this show is people think, Rob, are you getting fucking metal? Yeah. But you know what? You know what's metal? Not knowing where the fuck you're gonna go. You have no idea. I have no idea. I had no agenda. I mean, I think, okay, well, let's table this. Let's just say that we're big fans of yours. but I would turn it back around and I would ask you, though, that I think that your channel does celebrate the artistic impulse over many levels. And the fact that the lady in your life is also an artist. And I would say, even if you're documenting, there's an art to that. And by the way,
I don't want to argue with you on that.
It's not about. I mean, look, I understand. We don't want to embarrass you. Like, we both love you, but I do think, though, forget the praise. What I like about your channel is you're doing something unique, and I think that the great thing about YouTube, and if anybody wants to jump in to YouTube, the one thing that I would say, people are like, Rob, you're a star. Why are you doing? The key to YouTube's success, such as it is to bring something unique to the space. And it has to be unique to you. If you're going to review movies, fine. But why should we watch your movie reviews as opposed to every other person? There's got to be something that you bring to it. And I think Paula, you definitely bring a great unique perspective that is needed, and you're celebrating a culture which you couldn't it needs as much celebrating as possible, because a lot of people don't know the rich history of. Well, it predates America. Just saying. So.
Well, it's so strange, right? Because I think there should be 100 channels like mine. Like, why aren't there? And 100 channel of younger Latinos that are on the YouTube, doing this, and not just like on Instagram or TikTok or so maybe there's people who are checking out the slant. They're like, you know what, I like that. I want to do my own take on that, my own unique perspective on life, because that's all it is. And I think as we've gotten older, I mean, Robert, you said as far as like you changing, as far as, making money and all that stuff, you're perfect the way you are, man. We ain't gonna change, and
I wish I was richer, though. I could buy more hot toys. No,
man, but you're rich in your soul.
No, but wielding economic power just allows you to. I would get to make more movies. If I was more like, for me, like it's not about like, if I had 100 million. If someone said to me, "Okay, Rob, tomorrow you have $100 million, what would you do?" I'd be like, well, I'd make this one particular project for $80 million, and then I'd spend the next 20 producing new filmmakers making $2 million. I would make 20, or I'd make 10 $2 million movies. So I'd make my dream project, and then I would go produce 10 young filmmakers movies. That's what and people are like, well, what about, and Elizabeth would be like, what about a house? We're gonna buy a house. I'd be like, oh shit, baby. I guess I have to take away $10 million from my film, and so we can like buy a house and set ourselves up for the rest of our lives. My first impulse would not be that. I'm like, oh my god, I've got $100 million. I can make my movie, and then I can make 10 new filmmakers' films and produce those movies. That would be. And then someone says, well, what? And then I'd be like, how do I pay next month's house? How do I make the house payment next month? Shit. Right. I forgot to do that, and that would be my first impulse. But by the way, there's a lot of people that have been firing in questions, and I have to say, Louis Terrazas, who's a fairly new member, he's here, but he's a new member of the Post-Geek Singularity. He sends in a super chat and he says, Robbie Robinson. That sounds lost in space to me. I did it. I'm feeling metal as fuck, and I'm drinking tequila because I'm celebrating some big news. I'll fill you in ASAP. But did you hear about the Canadian UFO? What the fuck? Strange, green, and seen by many. Yes, I heard about there, and apparently, by the way, there isn't just one Canadian UFO. If you read the reports, the Canadians like, well, there's been UFOs here for a long time. Apparently, the Canadians, aliens like hockey. I don't know. But, yeah, very interesting. I find it very interesting that there's now UFO reports. Like, are we being softened up when the Independence Day 15-mile-long, like, city destroyers show up? We're not going to get so crazy. I mean, it's weird that UFOs are suddenly everywhere, and people are like, yeah, man, we've been seeing them for years. I'm like, what? What? Seeing for years? Anyway, so, and then another one of my favorite members of the Post-Geek Singularity. By the way, I shouldn't say that because I don't want to play favorites. I don't want to be like, but Mikey Lito, who actually I had a really great conversation with, came on the channel. And yes, your To Live and Die in L.A. Blu-ray's right behind me. Just so you know, it still is right here. Don't think I've forgotten.
Nice.
Mikey Lito says, good morning to the lovely, also to you, Rob, and to Polly, from the decidedly unmetal Imagination Contrarian. By the way, you know what's funny? I always deem people official like Kaz Graphics is the official cheesemonger. You know, Julius Goodwin is the sommelier, and Claude and Candida are the first couple of the Burnettwork. Nice. I never realized that I needed an imagination contrarian. Well, from this day forward, Mikey Lito is the official imagination contrarian for the Burnettwork. So, thank you for that, sir. And I had a fascinating. I need to isolate that, and I think he did on his channel. But we had a great conversation. Clint Baker goes on to ask about Tango Shalom. All right, I think I already answered that. It'll be in. It won't, if it's not in Austin, it'll be on VOD. 200 Watt Studio says, Rob, thanks again for last week. I love the Post-Geek Singularity. And then Jaimin D says, hello everyone. In my humble opinion, I always think everyone is an individual with a personal life first, then everything else comes after. And if they wish to take a step back and enter and start a new chapter in whatever they wish to do, I'm all for that. Well, I would ask the two of you, what do you, Paulie, if somebody has a great career going and they want to like leave, is that okay?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right, then I'll go first. Thank you, Polly. Yes, it's okay. It's completely okay. I have a friend who has been very lucky to have a daughter who's very, very accomplished. And in addition to being very intelligent, she excels at athletics and at the arts. So, this is someone who at a very young age just has the world at her feet. She can do whatever she likes and is getting offers and deals from all over the world. And, recently he told me that she decided that although she was number one, she's decided to pursue another path. And, that was the right decision for her. And, he supports that. And I think that it's okay to do that. And, people are doing it. So, we're seeing more and more of that, editorials and articles of people who are just kind of stepping away from something because it's not making them happy or they want to go in another direction. So it is okay. And we're going to see a lot of it. And it just seems the way that life is today. Being able to even choose to step away is something that is good because, I'm sure there were people who were kind of in the past in contracts where they couldn't step away. And so, if you can, and this is the decision you're making, you should just go ahead and go with your heart and do what's right for you.
Paulie, I have to ask you, You know, I was lucky during the last 18 months that I had a lot of work, but all of my work was done where I'm sitting right now. Like, you know, my whether I was editing, whether I was producing stuff for a DVD, or whether I was doing this animated show, it was all done right here. And I feel like I reached kind of a level of zen in my life. I would come out here, I had my little sanctuary, and yet I was doing work. Like, I'm sending things to Korea, I'm sending things to New York, and it changed my perspective of work in general. And I'm streaming on YouTube. So the very same things that I'm like, all of this feature film is right here. The same place that I'm also working on an animated series I'm sending to Korea. And I feel that something that's not being talked about, I mean, we're arguing over whether we're getting vaccinated, but I think the last 18 months made everyone sort of check themselves. And I realized the one good thing about the last 18 months is I kind of feel a sense of zen about work life. Like, it's kind of cool that I'm not running around anywhere. Like, I literally use, I'm lucky to be fortunate enough to do work that is based in the computer, in the virtual world, on creating stuff. But how do you feel the last 18 months has affected artists, the artistic impulse? Has it been beneficial, or has it been detrimental?
I think it's been devastating. You know, a lot of musicians make their living touring. Live. Yeah.
So
that is just barely coming back. Can you imagine going this year and a half with your arm cut off? You can't edit. You're not allowed. You can't. I mean,
I couldn't do it. Couldn't have.
Yeah, man. Now that being said, I'll use the example of Andy Vargas, Santana's lead singer. He got to be a father.
Wow.
Like, he got to, and let me just say this, not that he wasn't before, it's just the time spent, because I'll train martial arts with him and his little son. The time spent, it's like that wouldn't have happened.
Right.
So that's great. I hear those like, it's like, all right, well, my main source or my main thing, but it's taken away. But I found this,
right?
And those ones that can, that I think artists that are adaptable and pliable, they've benefited. Well.
And what about you?
Yeah, I agree with everything Paulie said, and of course, as you know, one of my passions is electronic dance music, and a lot of the artists who are in that field depend heavily on live performances internationally, and the United States carries about 30% of the electronic dance music market, meaning that they need to come to the United States to do these performances really just to even break even a lot of times. And it has been just so hard on the community, and even now in New York, for example, it's not what it used to be here in regards to the venues, and it's a struggle, and it's still ongoing, and it's unfortunate that it's turned out this way. But like Paulie said, I have seen artists who are saying that they looked at it as like it was a sabbatical, a time to kind of just take a break from what you normally do, and trying to approach trying to find some meaning in why they're staying home. And one other thing I can say is that I've actually seen more electronic dance music artists streaming over the past year than I have maybe in the 20 or 30 years that I've been going to live events. So, when this thing first happened, there were predictions that it would expose more artists to more people. And I think while that is true, the inherent nature of live music is that it has to be performed in front of an audience. So until that goes back online, it's going to be very difficult to kind of gauge whether or not greater exposure necessarily means more equity overall in regards to artists earning. So,
by the way, I have to give a shout out. Justin Bass or Bass, I'm not sure. It's Bass. I don't want to say Justin Bass. Justin Bass sent me a very generous gift. I don't ask for gifts or anything like that, but he sent me a very, very generous gift. And I want to thank you for that. And he made sure multiple streams, and I'm going to make I mentioned this before. I will make a big deal of it. I don't know what I'm going to do with your gift yet. I haven't decided. I have one thing I wanted, but we'll see. But I want to say thank you, sir. It means a lot, and that was that came out of left field, so incredible. Mm-hmm. But Justin actually has a really interesting question. He says, move to a cheaper city. You will have more money to make a movie. Outside of Nashville is really nice. And Latino, I'm sure, knows the magic of the Ryman. What do you think? Do you know the magic of the Ryman, Latino?
Unfortunately, I have no idea what he's talking about.
It could be. I don't know either. I don't know the magic of the Ryman, but that doesn't reflect, because some people say things like and when they fill you in, they're like, oh yeah. I don't know, but I will say, here's the thing. It's not. When you're making a movie, there are certain expenses that it's not where you're living. I will say this. I was in Tennessee in 2018. I was working on a documentary right outside of Nashville. God damn. I loved Tennessee. Mm-hmm. I mean, we were about, I forget where, some upscales. Tennessee was, I loved it. I loved the people. I loved the food. I loved the landscape and all the Civil War memorials, but these gigantic houses with beautiful rolling hills, and they weren't expensive. I'm sure they're hugely expensive now because so many people have moved there. But my God, what a fantastic place. I'd never been to Tennessee. And,
right.
I've been to, I loved it. I loved it. I love Nashville and the whole surrounding areas. I want to say start with an F. I can't remember, but I loved everything about Tennessee. So,
well, the Ryman Theater is formerly the Grand Ole Opry, I believe.
Oh, well, okay. Well,
acoustic.
Thank
okay,
you.
That's
okay.
Different.
Yeah,
I was thinking like what noodles.
I was thinking
ramen?
a dude, like a person, like. Okay, the Ryman is now I grew up with there's the Grand Ole Opry. There was a show, a TV show.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. There was Austin City Limits, and then there was there was a show by the Grand Ole Opry. So
I don't know the magic of the Ryman because I've never been there, but that's great. I've been to Stubbs and to Antone's in downtown Austin. Those are pretty great places to watch live music.
But I have to say, Nashville, man, I loved it. I loved, I was never in. It's funny, you always say people like, I don't like country music. I'm like, you've never actually listened to country music. There's a lot of great. I remember somebody gave me, I was in college, and I think it was Steve Earle and the Dukes. I was like, I don't like country music.
Steve Earle? Wow.
And I got a Steve Earle. I loved it. I was like, this shit's dope. What was, that whole ad. And then I started to get in. It's the same reason, like, I think country music and jazz are both American, they're American. I guess you could say rock and roll, but country music and jazz are American art forms, and I think that as I've gotten older and had my musical education broadened, I dig a lot of country music. I don't know if Achy Breaky Heart's my vibe, but I mean, I think there's a lot of really good, like, I like Hank Williams. What can I say?
Yeah, I saw, and I'm sure both of you have probably seen Ken Burns' country music documentary that he came out with a few years ago,
Fucking
and
incredible.
I absolutely loved it. But in regards to, of course, I like the classic country songs, but I'm particularly fond of country music from, like, let's say the 90s with Lori Morgan and Alan Jackson, Chattahoochee sort of things.
I like Alan Jackson.
Yeah, he's great. So, yeah.
Okay, Paulie.
Yep.
Country music, yeah or nay? What's up?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little more particular, right? I love Texas country. Like when you said Steve Earle, I lit up.
Dude,
I love some of those. I love, they're more like regional artists.
Yeah.
Then there's an edge and a grime to them, and it's great stuff. I think that's why I'm a huge Los Lobos fan.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fucking Los Lobos. I mean, that's the vibe, dude. That's.
Have you ever seen them live?
I have seen them live. No.
I haven't either.
I'm
We
not.
gotta go, bro. We gotta go because
I know.
they play every genre of music.
I know.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the guys isn't doing so well health wise. So I'm like,
No.
it's gonna be soon where they're gonna be hanging it up because they're viejitos, man. It's like, all right, but yeah, man, and they've got me to like even Tejano music, and there's Tejano music is so American because they're mixing genres of R&B and norteño music where it's like, what the hell, it's so there's some good songs there as well. I mean, music's amazing. Even Freddie Fender, Texas Tornadoes, and
Freddie
Ocean,
Fender, yeah.
Yeah, man, I could go down a deep well, but yeah, country's great storytelling too. Country's killer storytelling.
Yeah.
When done right, and also too, it could be said for mariachi music and corridos because they're all about a story, and even though like the sound or whatever might sound the same to you, you listen to the words, you're like, oh my god, this is incredibly sad, or oh my god, this is incredibly beautiful, so yeah, it's good.
I mean, it's music to me used to be the unifying force of culture. It was when I was growing up, we listened to everyone listened to the same radio stations. When I moved to LA in '88, it was K-Rock. I listened to K-Rock for 20 years. That's alternative, and when you listen to K-Rock, it was like Depeche Mode's coming to town. So at the Rose Bowl, so everyone goes to see Depeche Mode, and you knew that everyone there was a Depeche Mode fan. I remember seeing U2 in Dodger Stadium in like '93. Was it the Zoo TV tour? Man, I went to that at the Dodgers. That was a fucking great concert.
You remember who opened up for them?
I don't, but you'll tell me.
Was it the Sugar Cubes?
Oh yeah.
And
Yep.
Public Enemy.
Yeah. Yes.
That was awesome. We had killer seats, bro.
Oh, dude, it was so. I have to say, one of the great things about living in LA was music. I mean, the music that when Prince opened Glam Slam, that used to be where the old Club Vertigo was downtown. I used to go whenever he'd play in L.A. I would go hang out because he would sometimes, like, if he played for 3 nights, one night he would show up and play at like 4 a.m. You know, it was. You know, it's funny. I mean, LA is a pretty great town. Yeah, if you think about it, it's pretty great. Like, I've been here now for 33 years. I mean, I should be. I'm Jesus. I'm 33. I should be crucified. But 33 years in LA was pretty great. I have no. I mean, my career can be in the toilet, but living in LA has not been bad. I mean, ultimately, if I think about the city of LA and the people and I haven't had a bad experience. All of my bad experiences have been about my career and work and all that, but LA, Frank Sinatra sang a song called "LA Is My Lady" off one of his very later records. And I'm like, fuck yeah, Frank. You were right. LA is my lady. And she still is. So.
You know, I was talking to, on a membership stream to Gary of Neurotic. And we have a real, our strongest connection, me and Gary, is music and punk music.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, everyone's like talking about this band and that band, and you know, and I said, well, you know, Gary, what they all have in common is that they were formed in LA. Like, they cut their teeth, not even punk, but they cut their teeth, like Guns N' Roses, boom,
Yeah.
Eagles, boom.
Yeah.
They're all LA creations. They didn't, you know, they weren't, you know, Beach Boys. You
The
can,
Doors.
Like, I mean, I think I put up a few weeks ago. LA is the greatest music town. Fight me. On Twitter, I'm like, come on,
You sitting there at the table with the little sign hanging there.
You exactly
Changed my mind.
You know, and then some guy, I'd like to argue with you that Detroit is this or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, shut up. No. You know, Motown had its time, and it was like, maybe 2 decades, right? You know, we've been producing amazing music since the 30s. It hasn't stopped. You know, like
Hey,
so yeah.
I'm from Seattle, and I'm not gonna fight. Like, we had Hart and Jimi Hendrix, and Mix-a-Lot and Macklemore and grunge. Just saying.
Yeah.
And also rap contributions as well. I mean, if you like rap music,
you know that old adage, "What have you done for me lately, Seattle?"
What can I say? Yeah, I know, man.
I'm just messing with you, bro.
No, but you're not wrong. I mean, what's interesting is, like you said, since the 30s. I mean, we talked to Edward James Olmos, Zoot Suit. Like, I didn't know. I told you the story. Like, my dad took me to see that movie, and I didn't know what a Zoot Suit was. I didn't know there were Zoot Suit riots. I had no idea. But the music, the joie de vivre, all of that, I'm like, I would wear that. You know, it was.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, L.A. car culture, the lowrider culture. I moved,
we've had some great. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. We've had some great Chicano historians come on the show where we talk about suits, the fashion, like what was going on leading into those riots, because those were like that was like the end of, culmination of, and then but it's a great history, man. It's a great history. It's LA history, and yeah. I mean, in the music, the father of Chicano swing and later rock before Richie Valens was Lalo Guerrero.
Yeah,
and his songs are the ones you hear in Zoot Suit.
Yeah. Jaimin D said, "Oh, was he an LA guy?"
Lalo, yeah.
Oh, when did he live?
Lalo Guerrero, he passed away. Geez, I want to say within the last 10 years.
Oh wow.
His
Okay.
first hit was 40s.
Oh wow. So he's here for a long time.
Oh, long time.
So
His-
he
his
really
son is-
influenced. I mean, the whole culture for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, so Los Lobos just came out with a new cover album. It is
Yes.
incredible, guys. You
Yeah.
have to get it. And one of the songs they covers Lalo's, one of Lalo's songs. And what's great, that's what got me to do that tweet, because the album is called Native Sons, and Lobos, it's covers of bands from LA. That's so fucking cool, dude. It's so metal.
Dude. That's fucking metal. Here it is.
It is.
It's true. No, you're right.
It's So it's they do Beach Boys, they do War, they do Stephen Stills.
Wow.
Because that song was created here. Lalo Guerrero. Was it Little Willie G and the Midnighters? The Jaguars. I mean, these songs are really amazing. I'll send you the link to that album.
Yeah, I'll buy it. I mean, I loved it.
You'll
I'll
like
bet it's
it.
great.
And Paul, you featured it on your channel, didn't you?
Yeah, I did a review of each song. I went through each song, and it's called Native Sons. It's their 17th studio album.
Wow.
And that's the thing, is that, we're going back to this Cameron Diaz. God bless her, but she's not an artist like Los Lobos are. I can be so bold to say that. They will not stop playing until they drop dead.
Right.
She left the business, and she's fine. She's happy, But I would say, well, if it runs in your veins, then you never leave it. You're always doing something. So I don't know. You hear a lot of times where I go, I didn't want to be an actor, but boom, I became a star, and then I walked away.
Well,
So
I think you just made a great point, and really that speaks to the heart of why this topic interested me. Is that so she, she was a model. She's a pretty girl. She had a very interesting look, and I don't think she necessarily wanted to be an actress. It wasn't her passion, and she was like, "Oh, okay, I'll be in The Mask." Okay.
correct.
And which is awesome, and that no disrespect, but then she becomes a star and has to learn to act and all this, but it was never something like, at the end of the day, she just wanted to be a normal person. And when you get swept up, it wasn't like she just slowly worked her way up. She made a big splash with Jim Carrey in a gigantic movie, a comic adaptation that became a huge hit. And it was like, alrighty then. It was, and she was there. So suddenly she was like catapulted from, I'll make a movie, that's fun. And then she's like, oh no, you're a #1 love interest in Hollywood. So I can only imagine. And when lightning strikes, you don't go, no man, I don't want to do that. Like you ride that wave. She did. And I can see, like, I really just wanted to get married and have kids and have a life and let them go to Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts and school. And suddenly she's got a whole team of people and managers and agents and lawyers. She had no life. And I completely get why she walked away.
Sure, yeah. I mean, she acted in a Scorsese film. I mean, it's incredible how big she was.
Oliver Stone, man, she was in Any Given Sunday.
That was a good role for her. That was a good role. I mean, I don't think she was ever something about Mary. She was great. I mean,
come on,
I think
so
she was
good.
a natural talent.
Yes.
That got luck, and she was a gorgeous lady. So she had all the right moves at the right time. Yeah, I mean, and then nada, right? I mean, it, the roles dried up, or I don't know what happened to her career.
I think she was still doing okay, but I think she made a conscious decision to take a break. I think she was doing okay. She kept making movies like What Happens in Vegas, or a few films here and there. She was still getting work.
But she
I'm
did a
really
lot of
fast,
things.
really fast. There's an argument in the chat as far as where CCR is. CCR was formed in Los Angeles, guys. Fogarty is from, I believe, Central California. But
Wait.
CCR,
No one's
yeah.
dissing on CCR, are they?
No, they're arguing like where,
Oh.
where they formed, So, again, LA again. Hey, I think they're out of, is it El Segundo, or one of those little towns. Social Distortion, Fullerton. Maybe it's Fullerton, but yeah, all these great bands, man. I'm sorry about
Social
that.
D,
There were
dude.
a lot.
Social D,
Dude,
baby.
Concrete Blonde, Johnette
Yes.
Napolitano, man.
Ooh.
Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, that
Yeah,
first
man.
album, their first, I was I'm still a huge Concrete Blonde fan. That was a total LA band that I didn't know until I watched The Hidden. The movie The Hidden, Jack Shoulders The Hidden. And when I heard the song Still in Hollywood, I'm like, that song knocked me on my ass. And when I heard it, I'm like, what the hell is this? And man, I had that first album, and then of course, and a lot of their music was steeped in LA culture and Chicano culture, and Bloodletting was an incredible record that was, horror themed. I used to play the Damned Phantasmagoria and Concrete Blonde's Bloodletting. I had an endless repeat.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And just back in the chat, back to Cameron Diaz, it's like, being John Malkovich. I mean, like, yes.
Oh,
it's
she was
like,
so good.
damn. It's amazing. She had a run. She had
And then she was in
I
like
thought-
Charlie's Angels, and it was incredible.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But The Holiday, come on, give it up.
I loved her in The Holiday.
I
with
loved her,
Jack
loved her.
Black.
Oh,
And
Was
Jude
that the
Law
one they
was in
switched spaces?
Yes.
Yeah, that was
yes.
cute. That was cute.
And she actually plays a woman who does I guess they're trailers, right? She plays a woman who makes trailers, and and she's just broken up with her boyfriend, and she does the switch with Kate Winslet.
yep.
Who comes to the States.
I love that movie. It just, I don't know why, it just tickles my fancy.
But correct me if I'm wrong, when Cameron Diaz did get the role in The Mask, there was some attention, in addition to the fact that, she's so accomplished, but also that she's Latino.
Cuban.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, it was a big deal. I mean, I remember when they had, she was so talented, so beautiful. Of course, she performed very well, but also people had mentioned that, and there was talk about, more Latino artists coming into Hollywood at that time, and she was seen as an example of that.
I can't speak to that.
I mean, listen, I mean, I think at that time, because of her looks, she wasn't really, she wasn't playing like, Latino roles,
Right.
So, but there was, certain communities that did, embrace her, even though Latino roles back then were still, they were very very strangely written and not necessarily played by Latinos.
Yes.
You know, so she was kind of a complete anomaly, you know, which is great. Because it shows you we come in all different shapes, sizes, and colors. But I remember the movie A Walk in the Clouds, which I consider a wonderful failure of a movie. I love wonderful failure movies, R&B.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, right. Because you could always find something just extraordinary.
Dude, one of my favorite. I mean, I love Hudson Hawk. People are like, talk about a wonderful failure. I'm like, I love that movie, and people are like, what? You're always railing against Star Trek Discovery, and you love Hudson Hawk? Yes, yes, I do. It's a wonderful failure. I love that. I've never heard that term. A wonderful.
Oh yeah, I use
failure.
wonderful failures all the time. And you know what? I think we have a show idea. Yeah, right. Wonderful failures.
Let's talk about wonderful failures. I love that idea. It's fantastic.
And not wonderful failures like, you know, like current Star Trek. And there's nothing wonderful about it, and it's a complete failure.
Yeah. No. I think we have to re-examine movies in the past that are thought of like Hudson Hawk. You know, like Cameron Diaz's own The Counselor, directed by Ridley Scott, which I love. And people are like, that movie's terrible. I'm like, are you out of your mind? It's so good.
Tank Girl. Yep, absolutely. What are wonderful failures?
That's a good one.
I kind of forgot what movie I used it for right now. Why did I bring it up? What were we talking about?
We were talking about different roles that Cameron Diaz was in, and how well I guess maybe some of the movies performed. But she's been in a lot of successful films like Vanilla Sky. And the other film that I think she stood out quite a bit in was in Gangs of New York.
Oh, yeah. I love that movie.
See, I didn't like her in that. Mm-hmm. But that's okay. I loved her in the other movie. I mean, I wasn't.
Well, in I have to say, I know why you didn't like her in Gangs of New York. She did seem a little out of place in terms of time. I didn't believe she lived in that era.
So do you think perhaps she was miscast, perhaps?
Yes,
totally.
I absolutely think she was miscast.
Totally.
And what about in Vanilla Sky? What did you think? Because she got a nomination for a Golden Globe nomination for that role.
I loved her in that.
She's fantastic in that.
A
Walk in the Clouds. Walk in the Clouds.
That's what she was talking about.
That's what it was. It starred Keanu Reeves.
Yep.
And the only other actor of name in that was Anthony Quinn. I think it was one of his last roles, and he played the grandfather of the. He was wonderful. And it was directed by Alfonso Arau, who did like Water for Chocolate, and I think that was his only English film he did. It's a really strange movie because it looks really pretty, but this Mexican family that owns a winery orchard, they're all very European looking, and in fact they're played by Italians.
Yep.
Which so it's a strangely bad film, but I really like. I want to go see it right now.
No, I'm with you. I mean, look, I know what you mean. I love The Counselor. The Counselor is really Cormac McCarthy. It's really dark the way it's written. I love the longer version because there's these long self-indulgent scenes with these actors that I love. Now, I know a lot of people won't like that movie, and that's fine. But I love it. Now, hey, let me ask you this. Our friend Clint RXKX has been I think it's Clint Baker. He's changed
it. It is Clint Baker.
Yeah, it is. And he says, I'm in the chat. Send me a link. And
you were on the stream with him last Saturday.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I know. Yes.
Yeah.
And he said that I'd love to jump. He actually apologized to me. Yes, I'd love to have you jump in, but on this software, I can only have 3 people at once. But
Another time, perhaps.
Clint says, I definitely have something to say. Dude, I know Benji, Cameron Diaz's husband. Let's talk about normal people getting famous. We will. We will. We will. And then Clint became a member of the channel. So, Clint, thank you, sir. Midnight's Edge After Dark says, dang nabbit, Polly. Stop putting more on Robert's plate until we finish the Bond reviews. I'm running out of time. I don't know, Tom. I think James Bond's going to get delayed again.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not looking good.
Yeah. I
just want to see Ana de Armas in that movie.
Oh, dude. Hey, hang on. Wait. Here's my Ana de Armas Joy action figure from Blade Runner 2049.
That is fantastic.
I'm just saying. Hang on.
Nice.
It's pretty good. Its face sculpt's pretty good. I'm just saying. How do you not love her?
I love her.
I would love her a long time, even though she's a hologram. I mean, she's not even. She's a hologram in the movie, and I'm like, okay, if you're a replicant, you get a holographic girlfriend. If it's Ana de Armas, I'm like, okay, she can be a hologram.
That's hilarious.
So, yeah.
You have some more super chats here, Robert.
Yes. Let's see. Oh, Justin, you're the man. Justin says, John Barenthal in Armor Wars, Charlie Cox in Spider-Man, Moon Knight number 13 reporting 160 million. 100. Really? Moon Knight 13? $160 for 9.8 Punisher? Wow. 218 first appearance of War Machine, Barenthal variant cover.
I love Barenthal.
Wow.
I love
he's like in every movie.
He's wonderful.
500% value jump if stars line. Justin, I don't even know what to tell you. Like, I'm looking at, when you talk about comics, my entire Robservatory is filled with my comic collection. I pulled things to slab and all that, but I have to say, I mean, I look like I just look down here and I'm like, okay, hang on. Like, wait, hang on. I look up here and one of my favorite. Okay, Moon Knight has 2 of my favorite comic books covers ever. One is Moon Knight 28. This is Bill's. Here, let me go full frame on this one. This is Bill Sienkiewicz's cover for Moon Knight 28, and this is like the third. I have like 3 of these covers. I love this cover. I love it, and I will show you this because I have it like in 10 different versions. These are covers. This is my favorite comic book cover of all time. Of all time. Here it is. Moon Knight. Let's see. Moon Knight 29. That is the Werewolf by Night cover. This is my absolute favorite comic book cover of. It's hard to see because it's in a it's just black. You see the moon dart and Werewolf by Night. You know. So, yeah. I mean, I'm well, threesomes. That's. Hang on one second. Wait. Hang on. Wait. Let me put you guys back in. Threesomes where I draw the line. More than 3, you can't do your best work.
Yeah, so maybe they didn't hear me. Tom Jr. Jackson says Rob can only have a threesome with that equipment. That's very clever.
It's true. It's true. I'm sorry I was falling into my Moon Knight reverie.
And there's one more super chat there from Jamin D. Jamin D.
He says, "Oh my God, I didn't know anyone else knew or loved Hudson Hawk other than me." Laugh out loud with the one and only and the great Danny Aiello, the last dawn. Robert, my respect has elevated to infinity now. Well, Jaimin, you and I are going to be swinging on a star for all eternity. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, the Blu-ray, they released a Blu-ray of Hudson Hawk that comes in a case that looks like it's a VHS. Wait, hang on. Where did I put it?
And Illumin Nerdy says that there's a Moon Knight costume leak that I guess maybe they...
Yes. Would you like to see it?
Yes, please.
It was everywhere today, but I'll show it anyway.
Okay.
Because why not? Oh, wait, no, you know what? I can't. I don't have it on this computer. But yes, if you look... by the way, if you go to my Instagram feed, I did put it up today.
Okay.
It does look good. So, yeah. Oh, wait. Anthony Gonzalez. Hello, sir. This is the $1 million question. Which was better, Jewel of the Nile or Romancing the Stone, and why? Ooh, that's a tough one.
Romancing the Stone.
I gotta say that too because it was original. It was unique. Jewel of the Nile is a great sequel. Come on, Paulie, weigh in on this one. What do you think, Jewel of the Nile or Romancing the Stone? And if you haven't seen them, you could be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. I'm romancing the stone.
Yeah.
Leaving you all alone.
Who was that?
Every day. Eddie Grant, man, yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I guess he's from Jamaica, but yeah, that was a great movie. The part where he throws away her suitcase, he says, "What do you have in here?" She's like, just a few things," and he just thought, she's like, "My whole life is in there."
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think the second one had a Billy Ocean.
Yep.
Song, when the goal gets tough. Something like that.
Wow. Yes, you are
if
correct.
the tough gets tough.
Yeah.
Ooh, wanna touch you. I'm not through to you.
Oh my God! Who knew that Romancing the Stone, the duology, would inspire such fervor amongst the That's fucking.
Paulie and I do karaoke, so we sing together sometimes.
I've never done online karaoke. I do a mean Manilow Copacabana. That's my karaoke song. My karaoke song is Barry Manilow's Copacabana, and I can do that shit a cappella if you ask me to. Don't do it now, but I can do it.
Oh, Aiken has just sent in a super chat. Aiken.
Yeah, Aiken says, Paulie, R&B and is there music that you no longer listen to because of an associated pained or painful experience? Wow, that's a really interesting question, Paulie. Let me throw that to you first. Is there music you can't listen to because of a pained experience?
I don't know. Probably when I was younger, I probably used to kind of like operate like that. I think now, when I listen to something that has an emotional connection, that's painful, I look back at that moment or something like that. Yeah. So there are songs that are connected to some, emotional memories, So, but I don't know. When I listen to, now I guess oldies or whatever they are, there's a fondness. I mean, it's like your landmarks that your battle scars that you've gone through your life. You're like, wow, that's how I see it. We were talking about mariachi music the other night because we had a singer on, and we were talking about funerals at cemeteries.
Wow.
And I said, no matter what, in our culture, Mexican culture, is that pretty much you're always going to have a mariachi there while you're burying your loved one. And that is very powerful, especially the songs that they sing. They're probably some of the favorite songs of that person who passed away, and they're there. You know, you just don't have that. You know, that's a very beautiful thing. It's probably like kind of connecting with the jazz music
Yeah.
of New Orleans, but this is like they're there and they're playing the songs of like those favorite songs of that person who's passed away. So some of those songs are real emotional for me.
Well, you know, I think one of the things I love about music is, for whatever reason, which is unique to the human animal, the fact that we can create music at all. We understand a beat. You know, I often think, like, you know, our ancestors on the African veldt. Like, when someone picked up a stick and absent-mindedly just started banging and realized that the rhythm was wrong. You know, and someone who'd never heard music before realized the syncopation was what we wanted to hear because of whatever reason. You know, and music was born. And we didn't know why or how or whatever, but I've always thought of music as something cosmic, something that the songs of the cosmos, whatever you want to call it. But, you know, there's something to be said when you hear a classic guitar riff. You have an emotional response to it. And it's not just because it's not nostalgia. Like when you hear like Black Dog, you know, like you have a response to that, or Satisfaction. Like, I don't know why. It's not just because I've heard the song my whole life. There's something about a classic guitar riff that goes back to the beginning of time. Like, there's something about it. There's something about the sound value or the syncopation or the timing. I mean, there's something. Music is deep in our souls. I mean, I often think it's genetic. Maybe. Am I crazy?
You're not crazy, but I was going to give you an answer to that super chat from the gentleman whose name is Aiken. For like a short time, I used to get very melancholy when I would listen to songs by like, now the name of the artist is escaping me, but the song is like, "Don't you remember you told me you loved me, baby?" They were 1970s, 80s singers, a brother and sister. And they used to, they were big deals. Like they were very, very popular musicians.
Not Luther Vandross? Carpenters.
Yes, the Carpenters. Yes. And that song always made me feel sad, but I got over it fairly recently, that I can kind of sing the song and not feel melancholy. Because there's sort of like a bit of a melancholy undertone to it, and it would sometimes it would make me feel sad, but I don't feel sad anymore when I sing it.
Was that because of an experience you had listening to this song?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
But I haven't gotten over the experience, but the song, I don't associate it with that experience any longer.
How long did that take you to not do that?
15 years, I guess.
Wow. I don't mean to pry, I'm sorry.
If I wanted to have a good cry, I'd put that song on, which I would do quite often, actually. So, yeah. So I know that's not the question he asked, but or he or she asked.
No, he did ask that. No, that's right. Aiken wanted to know.
You know, as I'm getting older, there's just different, songs that you grew up with, and you really get to dig into their meaning or the beauty of their composition and the words, or really just in awe of creators, right? Brian Wilson is one of the greatest American composers. I mean, it's that music Beach Boys music is breathtaking. I mean, you
Yeah.
really dig deep in that. Even some of their like really early hits. Those were great pop compositions as well. But man, that guy created some great music.
Oh,
And there's a reason why they're in some of our most sentimental and lovely like movies. Damn. Yeah.
Did he?
Music's amazing, man. Fuck.
So
Is
good.
he the one who wrote "God Only Knows, Polly"?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best songs ever written.
And whenever they use it in a movie,
Right.
okay, let me ask you guys something. So, I believe that when a movie, when a director or the music supervisor, when a movie uses a song definitively, that movie owns that song. And no one else should ever use that song. And I know it's a weird thing. Like, how can you prevent somebody? It's not like the song can speak for itself because it's a song. But I do think that there are some movies that, like, they own those songs. You can never, ever put them in and if you do, you're creatively bankrupt.
One of them, I think it was the last time I was on your karaoke show, Polly. One of the songs I sang was "I Don't Want to Close My Eyes" by Aerosmith from the movie Armageddon. And
I love that you sang that. Fantastic.
I didn't do it justice, but I mean, part of why,
No,
clearly,
you kind of did. Just singing it, you did. You did.
well,
Cheers to
clearly,
that.
I enjoy doing karaoke on Paulie's channel because I love to sing, but the company also enhances the experience. So,
No.
we have a good time on the show, but I also, I kind of picked that particular song too because I was thinking about how, and we've discussed this before, how movies used to have songs associated with them. And, that was one that I felt was very strongly associated with the movie Armageddon because it was. So
Yeah. But it's Aerosmith. And that kicks ass.
Yes, it is.
I mean, I've always wanted to, like, sing Love in an Elevator at karaoke, but I could never pull that off. I stick with Copacabana.
Love in an elevator.
Yeah.
R&B. Hey, do you know Nina Infinity?
Yeah.
Yeah, she came. She was our guest, our special guest tonight, and she sang some amazing '70s songs. And then her husband came in and was like, "Sing Skyfall." And she sang Skyfall. I was like,
Oh my gosh! Oh, I'm
James
sorry,
Bond,
I just-
the Bond films have always had, not all. I mean, there's some memorable songs there, bro.
He has a powerful weapon. He charges 1,000,000 a shot. An assassin who's second to none. The man with the golden gun. Oh, wait, that's not one of those memorable songs. Hang on. But, hey, in 1974, Lulu apparently was hot, and she sang that theme song to Man with the Golden Gun. So, good on her.
Wow.
What other song did she sing? She sang another song. Was it "To Sir with Love"?
Probably,
Was that
yeah.
her?
Yeah, I think so.
How about another song that I think can only be associated with that particular movie is "My Heart Will Go On" for the Titanic.
Oh, wow. Well, that's seminal.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually... it's funny. Never bet. Everyone always wants to bet against James Cameron. Oh, Titanic's a disaster. It's going to bankrupt 2 studios. Meanwhile, Jim Cameron's just like, whatever. Come on. The most successful movie of all time in 1997. He knew. He knew. And then he makes Avatar. Oh, it's Fern Gully in space. All right, say all you want as it goes to the global box office. I mean, my unimaginative, completely my mom would never buy into sci-fi or fantasy. I said, Mom, I want to take you to see a 3D IMAX movie. And she's like, oh, I've never seen a 3D IMAX movie. I'm like, I know. And we're gonna, and my grandparents used to live in Palm Springs before they passed away. So I was there and at the IMAX theater in 2009, and I took my mom, and we're sitting there. And my mother, she was 70 years old when I came out. Now she's 82. She was 70, and my mother, I have never in my entire life, because she loves plants, and half of Avatar takes place in this amazing forest. So my mom was like enraptured. I have never ever seen my mother the way she was after the end of Avatar. She turns to me, her eyes were as big as saucers, and she looks at me and she says, how did they do that? And I'm like, this fucking movie is going to be huge. And it's funny to me, I love Avatar. And I don't care if it's Pocahontas or Fern Gully or whatever. I mean, as if that's like easy to do. Avatar is an astonishing technical achievement, and you can't help but not love. You get caught up in it, man. You get caught up in it. And by the way,
I love Sam Worthington.
Well, I'm sure you do.
Love him.
Because he's a great actor and a very deep thinker, I'm sure. Right?
He's very talented. I also wanted to mention one thing, another thing that, and I did mention it earlier, that I was on a stream with Paulie, and I think Rosa Parra, and the director of the Latino films of this year so far. But one film that we didn't get a chance to discuss very much was The Dance of the 41. And Paulie, I did watch this film several months ago when you had first recommended it, along with Blast Beat and Blue Miracle? So I had watched it, then, and I thought that the film was fantastic overall. So I just wanted to recommend it to other people. I think it's still on Netflix, and the film focuses around the history of an event that happened in Mexico. But actually, the thing that, in addition to the wonderful performances and just the costume pieces, because it is a costume drama in a sense, the thing that really stood out to me were the love scenes in the movie, which I thought were very passionate and tastefully done, and definitely grabbed my attention in the story. But also the film focuses on, it almost feels like, unfortunately in the story, these gentlemen get arrested for dressing differently, let's say. And in the story, it kind of talks about that. And, of course, we hope today, things have changed and there are a lot of milestones that have been reached. But I thought that overall, for a story that may not have been the easiest one to tell, they did it beautifully. So I wanted to give that film thumbs up. It's called Dance of the 41.
Nice. All right. I haven't seen it. I'll watch that. Scooter Mattoon sends in a super chat and says, I interviewed Candlebox for my radio station recently. The lead singer still looks hot. Rob, can you rank your top 5 Star Trek characters of all time? Well, wow, Candlebox and Star Trek. Okay. I will give them to you in order. First of all, and people might be surprised by this, the number one, I'm not going to go in descending order. I'm going to give you number one first. The number one top 5 Star Trek characters of all time. The number one, and if anyone disputes me, you're wrong. The number one character is Mr. Spock. Okay. Number one Star Trek character, the most indelible character, the thing that defines Captain Kirk is my number 2, but Mr. Spock defines Star Trek. which is why they're co-opting him for the swill of discovery and strange new worlds and all that bullshit. And they think, well, we can write Star Trek, and no, you can't. You can't write whatever. Mr. Spock's number 1. Captain Kirk is number 2. Leonard McCoy is number 3. And number 4 is Jean-Luc Picard. And number 5, everyone's like, I bet it's Data. Nope. Number 5 is Worf. Because he went from the last person cast for The Next Generation, a secondary character, to playing more seasons of Star Trek than any other actor.
Yes.
You know, he was on Next Generation for 7 seasons.
Deep Space Nine.
For 4. Oh, wait, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, for 4. 11 seasons. No one. And by the way, he was given such great stuff to do on Deep Space Nine. So amazing. So there you go. Stubble McShave says, I suspect that the offered roles for Cameron Diaz were getting fewer and fewer. Most of the older working female actors are thespians. Diaz lived on her personality rather than her acting skills. I don't think she wanted to play small character roles. Well, that's a pretty astute thing to say. I don't necessarily disagree, but she's still a huge star. Like, she did play... she was not averse to playing character roles, which she did. So, you could be right. I mean...
Yeah.
You know, yeah. What do you think, Paulie?
Yeah, there's definitely unfortunately an age gap where most working actresses, you know, that are, you know, successful.
God, I was looking for
you
the
don't see them
action
until
hero.
They're older. They're like
part of my
either
life.
young, they're either young or they're older. It's kind of changing now. But, you know, with Romy and what she goes through, what she tells me is that, you know, the thing of age is a big deal.
Yeah.
And, you know, with Romy and the way she looks and, you know, being Brazilian, her genetics have really, you know, really helped her. You
Yeah.
know, and her just her facial structure, like her bone structure, her face. She's got these great cheekbones, like a Meryl Streep, even though she's way better, way more beautiful than Meryl Streep. And when I say that, plus her, it depends on the type. So with Romy, she can play doctors, lawyers, judges, detectives for many years now. You know, she just got a huge guest starring role, and it's on one of the biggest shows right now. It's been one of the biggest medical shows it's been on for forever, and she gets to play a different character. So we're really excited about it, and you know, she always talks about not, you know, women's portrayal as far as age is that even still today, the older leading man always has a very much younger female wife or counterpart. You know, like they're always young. They're always considerably younger. They're not like, you know, kids, but they're like, you know. So she always brings up some great points, but the, you know, aging is a real tough thing that also actors have to deal with, and female actors deal with it on a completely different level.
Oh,
than
yeah.
men do. Yeah.
No, it's tough. It's tough and rough. Although it's funny because if you look at modern pornography, it's all about finding the hot stepmom to seduce
Everybody
you.
wants the MILF for the, you know, that's the thing.
I mean, I knew that when I was 20. I was 22. I dated a 40-year-old, and I'm like, oh, I learned a lot. And I was like, wow, this is a very good experience for me.
I like
Although
how we
now
went
it's
from
become-
talking about my girlfriend to porn. I love it.
Well, no, I hear, but I only say that because not that I'm a purveyor. I don't watch it. I'm just saying that became a popular fantasy weird
course
element.
No.
I don't mean to
Purveyor of porn.
no disrespect, but I do find that certain trends in society are interesting. In that, the idea now that we live in a society where I think older women are more revered than they've ever been.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, culturally, because of knowledge, I was joking about porn, not sex, but real knowledge. I mean, what I think we are losing in America is institutional knowledge. What I don't like to see in Hollywood is all of the people that have been there for a long time are getting dismissed. And the people that know the film catalogs and know the history, they're expensive because they know their shit. And yet they're the first to be let go. And then you have to deal with, okay, there's going to be a remaster of a movie. But there's no one left to know, well, what was that movie like? And people are like, well, I don't know, we'll just hire the 23-year-old kid to do it. And that's, it doesn't work. It's disastrous. And the idea that we don't revere people as they, it's very, Asian cultures revere people as they get older. They believe that experience matters. But in our country, it's all about youth and vigor and vim, and I don't get it. Institutional knowledge matters.
Do you think the focus on youth will ever dissipate somewhat, or do you think it's even more projected towards youth?
Well, I mean, and maybe I'm romanticizing this, but when you travel abroad, the idea of youth is different. I mean, I think that I want to say Europeans are much more used to being humans. Americans have been around for 450 years or something? But you go to Europe, Europeans have been humans for thousands of years. So they get it. We don't quite get it. Americans don't quite get it yet. And I think what's really important ultimately is that people follow their bliss. People figure out what they want in life and go get it. What America has done is facilitated that for people. It doesn't matter. I mean, now we're sliding back into this, well, America, there's all this adversity about race, gender. Yeah, there is. But that's true anywhere. The one thing that's about America is not perfect. But what's great about America is we still believe that you can do whatever you want. That doesn't mean you're not going to work your ass off. But, in France, people are like, you want to make a movie? Let's just sit at the cafe. We talk about Proust. It's fine. Why do you want to spend so much time doing such a futile thing, Americans, the one unique thing we still have is if you're in America and you say, I want to do this, there will be fellow Americans that will tell you, fuck yeah, dude, you should totally do that. Or you do that. You should do that. What can I do to help you? Let's make it happen. That's why America is still great. Because people are still here that dream. And then they make that shit happen. That's not unique to the rest of the world. That's only unique to America. You can think shit up and do it. And then people surrounding you will be like, that's a great idea. What can I do to help? That's pretty great. Pretty great. Now, does that mean the rest of America is absolved of their sins? No. But there's something to be said for that. Dreams do not die in America, although they do, and usually very spectacularly, but you can still dream here, and that's a rare thing. What do you guys think?
I think that we're lucky that there is more openness to ideas or the pursuit of a dream here, and that perhaps it's the reason why people keep coming to the United States. And I've heard many things that I've heard people say that if you go to the United States, you become an American, so you're part of the United States. But in other countries, a lot of times immigrants go to that country and they never are properly part of the population, and they are looked on as outsiders for their entire lives. So, that's definitely something that's very unfortunate that they have to deal with that type of discrimination. So yes, it is good to be here in the United States.
Now, Paulie,
Yeah.
is it though? Is it good to be here in the United States? I mean, if you're not the right color or the right political affiliation, is it good to be here? Is America still a great place?
Yeah, I'd say it's probably the best time it's ever been.
I feel
Fight
the
me.
same way. Now, could you could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I feel the reality is that people of different backgrounds, the majority of us get along, and we love and support each other, and we work hard, and we're all Americans. And
Yeah.
there's a duality. You can be anything you want to be, and you can change it every day. Your dreams can change every day.
Mm.
You can be totally destroyed by, whether you're, family or being canceled or career or whatever. And yet, if you wake up the next day, you can reinvent yourself in this country.
Yeah.
Poverty and racism comparatively, to other countries, women's rights in other countries. I mean, there's just on that, there's no other better place.
No, I mean, and people forget that about this country.
Yeah.
I mean,
not the
people
ones
really
that
do
are
forget.
from other countries. Yeah, not the ones that are from other countries that
Right.
really know what poverty is, that really know what oppression is, and really know how other systems have never worked, and yet we want those systems here. It's like, you don't know what you're asking for.
Yeah, I want to be a Marxist. No, you really don't.
I didn't want to start
No, it's not political, but it's like, what's so interesting to me is the modern day, the collectivist impulse. I look at it, I'm like, apparently you don't understand that no collectivist society has ever worked. Marxism doesn't work, and the reason it doesn't work is because it doesn't take into consideration the individual's desire to excel.
Yeah.
And we always want to, whether we want to be funny on stage for our parents to laugh at us, or we want to have a good business or whatever. And I feel we live in this time where people are like, oh no, I believe in Marxism. I'm like, why? Capitalism is not perfect, but capitalism, if it's not subverted and people don't cheat, which, let's face it, everybody does, but they shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's a sound system, and it would work great if you didn't cheat. And when you have cheaters at the hundreds of billions of dollars level and they are cheating on their taxes, how can you expect somebody who makes $50,000 a year to want to be honest? It's hard. How do you do that?
Yeah. And he talked about,
I know. It's a tough one.
I think we get trapped by this constant, cycle of like we're victims or we're this or that, and it's like, yo, like you said, nothing's perfect, but
No.
it's never been better. When you look at the numbers, I mean,
I am with you 100%.
yeah, there's real. I mean, you want to talk about variants? Don't tell me about the Delta variant. Tell me about the obesity variant, about the suicide variant, about the alcoholic variant. Those issues I'm more interested in, because those are the real killers, and those are connected to the real problems of our society.
Yep.
Yes.
Right? Not these superficial ones, and not saying that what we're going through isn't superficial.
No, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, you compare the numbers. That really gets to me. That's why talking about being a philanthropist. That's why it's like I like being of service. And hey, I have a channel. People are listening. Let's raise money for this thing or that thing that I feel that's important. But we can't. I mean, we can't. Where else in the world is this being done? Where we're speaking out and talking like this, where you don't get a knock on the door and they take you away in the middle of the fucking night. That shit still happens.
Yeah, it does.
Paulie, can you just mention the organization that you did your recent fundraiser for again for us?
Yeah.
Loki variants. I love it. I love the chat, man.
It's a good chat. We have a good chat. Good bunch of folks.
Yeah. It's a good people, man. The last I don't remember. We raised money for so many people.
It was this may not be the last one, but the one that comes to mind for me, since we were talking about actors and the arts, is the one in LA that
the Latino Theater.
Oh yeah. Latino Theater Company. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, tell people, because I've been on multiple streams with you. We've had great guests raising money for the Latino Theater, and what I found really interesting about that was all of our Latino or Chicano, the guests that you've had on, all of them went through that theater, all of them.
Yeah. Latino Theater Company is kind of like the West Coast, Joe Papp Public Theater. It's like the every actor of merit has done time there. As far as Latino actors, so it's great, and they have a lot of great programs for the community. So we raise with Midnight's Edge and Robert Meyer Burnett's support and outreach that you guys have. We've raised $5,600 for just that theater company.
No, it's amazing. Yeah. I mean,
and great.
When you hear that literally every Latino actor of merit in Los Angeles, they all without exception, went through the Latino Theater.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some great comments going on in the chat, and it's like, it is a smoke and mirrors game, man, because they want to keep us divided with all this really superficial problems that in day-to-day reality they don't exist anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? I would say this country is the least racist country in the fucking world.
We really are. And yet they're going to teach critical race theory like we're all born racist. It's so bizarre to me that's
awful stuff.
It's awful stuff. And by the way, I mean, I would say to this, I would say anyone, if you're a guy, and I'll be lascivious for a moment, there has been no downside in my life dating someone from a different race. None whatsoever. And I would say that you owe it to yourself to meet people, and I mean this for everybody, girls, boys, non-binary, however you identify. One of the great things in life is to meet and get romantic with somebody that isn't remotely similar to you. And you never know how they will rock your world, but I guarantee they will. And there's something to be said for that. It means you have to be open-minded. You have to travel. You have to go places. Keep an open mind. Wherever you go, you are one step away from having your world rocked like you could never imagine. Because you're not exposing yourself to the rest of the world, the people of the rest of the world. And that's the best thing we have, is all of us. That's what I say.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you know, yeah, and I definitely stay off of watching news on television, because it's really fear porn, and they, you know, and to get your information and get your facts from as many different sources as you can.
Yes.
And you know, make, you know, that's how you start good discord, even if you disagree with people. You know, it's like, you know, like, you know, that's where you learn how to debate and be respectful. And
I agree.
Then you have commonality again. You know, like music, movies, food. You know, and then in our cases, you know, action figures. You know, you mentioned Picard. You know, Picard's my favorite. You know. You know,
That's a great figure, Paulie. That's a great figure.
I know. He's so cool. His first contact, he's like, eh.
Yeah. Come on, look at that.
He's like the zoot suit. What's up, Holmes?
The post-apocalyptic zoot suit.
Yeah, I know. Great figure. I got it at a pawn shop for $20.
Nice.
Now, I've seen some of your videos, Paulie, when you do make your trips to pick up some really cool, you know, either Star Trek or Star Wars merch.
Yeah, man, why aren't you on Fully Articulated? Why don't you come on with Az and Justin and I?
Well, whatever.
Come on, man.
You know?
Show your wares.
Yeah, I got. I'm still unpacking this treasure that I found in the San Pedro pawn shop. Yeah, I mean, he had boxes of stuff.
Oh,
and
wow.
The storefront, in his storefront, what caught my eye, Robert, was this puppy, and it was in the front window.
Wait, we can't see that. Oh, you're bringing it down. Bring it.
Oh, I love this.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow, that's a Kenner. That's a late '90s Kenner figure.
Yeah. So
wow,
you know, and
dude.
And then the owner of the store is, we're both named Paul, and you know, he's from Jersey. My girlfriend's from Jersey, and we had a great conversation. You know.
Wow, look at that, and that looks mint. That box is in great shape.
The box is an okay shape. It's late at night, but
I can't.
It's discolored from the sun.
No, right, okay.
Not the action figure. Not the figure. I'm not going to open this one.
It's hard to tell from the light, but that's a great figure, man.
Yeah.
Well, Robert, Paulie, you know, is fortunate enough to bring us along on his trips when he goes to the shops sometimes. And it's very exciting. You know, he goes in and he sees what's there, but it's a lot of fun to experience, you know, the when he finds different things and then makes a choice. And it's just a lot of fun to watch it.
Oh, I have not seen this, but now I need to. We need to give you a segment in Fully Articulated and Hot Toys with Az.
Yeah, I mean,
why not?
I got a box of these Taco Bell giveaways that they had.
Oh yeah,
from episode 1, and it was like, man, these are amazing toys. And I'm looking at some ones that yeah. Oh, and I just mailed off 2 vintage toys from the 90s. Vintage from the 90s.
It's so funny to think that.
Sulu and and Scotty, I sent those off to Clobberin Times for his birthday.
Oh, were they Playmates toys?
Correct.
Yeah.
Big ones, yeah.
Yeah, the 8-inch. Those are 9-inch. Those are great. I loved that line. Loved it.
Mm-hmm.
It was such a great line. I still have a lot of them, but that was a great line. I don't have as many as I used to. I'll tell you a funny story about that. So, mid-90s, circa 95. I had a great apartment. I lived there for 5 years on Doheny in Beverly Hills. I was half a block away from the Beverly Hills city limits. My mom came to visit me. She's like, "Oh, you don't really live in Beverly Hills." I'm like, "Oh, no. Au contraire." I walked her half the way down the block. I'm like, "Beverly Hills city limit, Mom. I'm inside. I'm on Doheny between Olympic and Pico. I am in Beverly Hills." I had a great apartment, $650 a month. It was great.
Wow.
It was great. This was back,
Doheny? Wow.
Yeah, I know, man. Now, so great apartment. So I had. This is so lame, but I had all the Playmates 9-inch Star Trek figures, and each shelf in Billy bookcases, just like I have them behind me, and I had the each crew on the different shelves. So there was a lovely lady that I met at a Post facility. Elizabeth, not my Elizabeth now, but a girl named Elizabeth. And she came back to my place. And all was good. Sexy time was happening. And in the middle, she's like, I can't do this. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, these figures, there's these figures everywhere. Their eyes, they're staring at me. I can't get past that. I can't deal with it. I'm like, they're not real. And she's like, I can't. Can we just like go to sleep? And I just can't come over here anymore. And that was the end of our relationship. And I won't use her name other than Elizabeth. I'll say Elizabeth. But I liked her. I was like, what?
Well, how are the figures posed, Robert?
Well, I mean, they're in action poses. There's nothing lascivious. I mean, when you here's the thing. When I think all action figure collectors would tell you the same thing. When you have a gaggle, a collection, a murder, if it was crows, a murder of action figures, and you're setting them up, what you want them to do is you want your shelf of figures to convey a mood, a moment in time, or so you try and pose them where like someone's like, they got their phasor out, or somebody's like Spock's talking in his tricorder, or you're doing something. You try and create a pose. So no X-rated stuff. No one debates my action figures. It's not like I hate that because some schmuck always comes over and goes and they'll take your figures and do something lascivious. Find them like 2 days later, like what the fuck? But it happens, and people are like, okay, good on you. Good on you. I just wish you were more creative in bed because my action figure poses would have been that much funnier, but you're not, so whatever. So you besmirch my action figures all you want, but back in the mid-90s, we didn't have Big Bang Theory. I hadn't made Free Enterprise, so like grown men with action figures, red flag. Although I proved to her I'm like I'm not just an action figure guy. I'm also a man of action. Just showing you whatever. Okay, but she never came back, and I really liked her. I really liked this girl a lot. I really did, and I thought it was interesting that she was bumping on action figures.
Right.
And she knew she said, "You've posed all of these like they're in." She could tell they're like in action poses. I'm like, well, yeah, like that's kind of the whole point when you have the entire. You want the landing party to be going, guns, phasers, like that's the whole point. You create these little tableaus on each shelf. It was like TOS, TNG, Deep Space Nine, Voyager. Yeah, it was. I had to explain the different crews. She was so checked out. End of that relationship. Oh well.
Her loss. Her loss.
That's what I said.
How was she? How would she been with lunch pails?
Oh, cool.
This is a mini lunch pail.
Hang on,
Oh,
that is
fantastic, Holly.
amazing.
That looks great.
So this is another pond. I think it was a Goodwill.
That looks like it looks in great shape. I can't tell, but it looks in great shape.
It's really in good shape. I just don't have the thermos, but it's a mini one. I got it for a few bucks.
Yeah, that looks great, Paulie.
Yeah.
That looks wonderful. The just the whole design on it with the Star Wars, that looks great.
Oh, look at the handle. It's cute.
Yeah, that is great.
It's great. It's great shape.
I'm just curious, Paulie, have you been watching The Bad Batch? And if so, what did you think of it if you've seen the season finale?
I stopped watching it. Kind of lost my interest. So I didn't see that. I haven't seen like. I tried to do a catch up on it, and I was like, "Oh God, this is lame."
Yeah, the actual design of the characters is good, but the show, I don't know. I haven't seen the last two episodes.
It's all right.
It hasn't gotten as rave reviews as some of the previous shows. So I'm not going to talk about the finale because it just came out. But I hoped it would have been a little different than what it was. I watched the whole thing because I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but I think it was missing something. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes that's just how it goes. But
by the way, we have some super chats, and they're kind of funny.
Oh.
Darth Plato says, "Only 3 at once? Menage a trois? Let's expand our horizons, shall we? Menage a quatre? Menage a chink? Menage a six? Menage a sept? Menage a height? Menage a neuf? Menage a dix?" Here's my problem. Look, there's a reason why there's a phrase menage a trois, because that's about how you can go. That's about as far. You go to 4, you're not bringing your finesse game. I mean, a menage a trois, you can still work hard and make it work. You go beyond that, it's novelty.
Well, you only have so many hands. That's. I'll leave it at that.
And you only have one tongue too. So, I mean, at the end of the day, what really happens? It's not quantity. It's whether you're a cunning linguist or not. At the end of the day, I mean, so you might be like, "I was in an orgy with 10 girls," and I'm like, they didn't remember you. They don't know who you are. So don't even
names.
Yeah, they don't know. And by the way, they don't care either.
No, they
and you weren't good enough to make them care. So I'm just saying that I mean that with all due respect. But I do like the idea. I do like the idea of pushing the envelope. I think it's good. Stubble McShave says, "Music from my youth had a message of the heart, such as love or heartbreak. More modern music with a message usually has something concerning life and society, a message of the head. There are few rap songs dealing with love and heartbreak." Well, that's a very fair point.
Pretty good.
I like it. Okay, let me ask you, why do you think, look, I love 80s rap. I'm a child of early LL Cool J records.
Old school.
Yeah, I mean, when Brenda's got a big old butt and I'm leaving you.
Oh,
see
yeah?
ya. I mean, yeah.
I thought I told you I'd be true.
I thought I told you I'd be true. Like, come on. That wasn't rap. I mean, that was... it's so funny because all the rap that wants to talk about gangster, the streets, that's fine. but nothing was more truer than LL Cool J's
I Need Love.
Oh, well, that was good too. Or Going Back to Cali, one of my favorite music videos ever. Like to me, LL Cool J as a kid in Seattle, like I was like, I wanted to be that guy so bad.
Yeah, he was cool. He was very cool.
His rap, I mean, and then you get into like, I come down to USC, like Too Short. Too Short was a big rapper back in the day, you know, and then of course it was Wu-Tang Clan and Eric B and Rakim, and those two groups, and then also not to be forgotten, the Beastie Boys' Paul's Boutique is an incredible hip hop record. Incredible.
No, Sleep Till Brooklyn.
Oh my God.
Well, and I can't stand
that was Licensed to Ill. Yeah,
that was Licensed to Ill.
Yeah. No sleep.
Yeah, I always liked kind of like the weird, strange, you know, hip hop. Not but still commercially like successful. De La Soul, Diggable Planets.
Yep.
De La Soul is from the soul.
Yeah.
I love that too.
Tribe Called Quest.
Yes.
Tribe Called Quest. I mean, shit.
Mm-hmm.
And oh God, Dirty South. What's
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
What's the name of the? Why can't I? Outcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
you like
music.
party hip hop.
Well, I was partying at the time.
Fun
so
hip hop.
yes.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I feel the same way. That's why I loved LL Cool J. You know, like I Need Love and Going Back to Cali. I mean, he was all about living life.
Rock the bells.
Oh yeah.
I got the ill communication. Ma Bell. I got the ill communication. Ma Bell.
I miss those days.
I do too.
A simpler time when actual rap music, hip hop was great.
Is it true that Run DMC? I think I either heard this on a chat or in someone say this, maybe one of you guys, that when they did the song "Walk This Way" with Aerosmith, that it propelled the song more. I don't.
That I think maybe even I was saying that someone said that on the channel, but yeah, I mean, I loved Aerosmith, like Dream On, and they were a great arena rock band, but they kind of fell from favor until the mid '80s when Run DMC. By the way, I don't know who thought this up. One of the great moments in pop music history was combining Run DMC with Aerosmith. For Walk This Way.
That was pretty commercial.
It was cool.
Oh, it was wildly commercial. But who thought that up? I mean, the idea that was not something that, yeah, man, we're just gonna get like a 70s hair metal band to play with our top lining rap group. Like that was not something you'd ever expect to show up in one of the executive suites. But they did it. It's like somebody did it, and it was awesome. It was so good. And it was really, I think, more than anything, the fusion of heavy metal and rap. I think it created allies that didn't exist before that led to the acceptance of hip-hop music as a legitimate art form.
And I was at another concert, and Anthrax was at the concert, and Public Enemy was also at the concert. I don't remember the name of this concert, but I saw that one as well. Maybe it was
the fucking Kick-Ass concert I once went to. That was what it was called.
Yes, and it was great. They were on the stage at the same time, and it was really, really amazing. So
I actually bought. I kept up with early Cube albums. Those were really just great West Coast rap.
Yeah.
No Vaseline, Death Certificate. America's Most Wanted. Those are pretty heavy.
Yeah.
But those are badass, man.
Those are the days. What happened to hip hop, man? God
It's a
damn.
good question.
What happened to music, man? Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
Commercial
I know.
music.
It used to be a great fusion of art and commerce. Now it's not that.
I like the artist who sings that song, that rap song, "Be Humble." I mean, it's I can't remember his name, but
Yeah, me neither. I'm like,
it's killing me. And also the one who sings "This Is America." "Be Humble" was sung by.
You talking about Glover?
Yes, Danny.
What's his name? His stage name?
I can't remember.
Gambino.
Yes,
That's right.
Yeah,
Childish Gambino.
Childish Gambino. Yeah,
And it's Kendrick Lamar is the one who sings the "Be Humble"
Kendrick
song.
Lamar is really good. Yes.
really good.
Yeah, that they're a little out of the box.
Thank you.
You know, compared to "Damn That Booty Sure Is Good," which seems to be the
Yeah, I mean,
it is.
there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm a bootylicious, anything bootylicious.
yes,
That's all great.
I cannot lie. It's true. No, but I mean, like in regards to
Let
a
me
different
tell you something.
approach.
Let me tell you something, Rob. Miss Slant has a great butt. Just
You know
saying.
what?
I say with
you know
respect,
what?
but that's my woman.
And
I mean,
LL Cool J
curves.
would have said, and Romy's got a big old butt, and I'm leaving you. See ya. That's what he would have said.
Brazilian curves. Brazilian curves.
Dude,
And yet I'm not in bed with her right now because I'm here on.
I mean, it is almost 3 a.m, and now that you've talked about it, I mean, here's any man. Can I just say one of the great joys in life is when your lady is sleeping on her side, and you can just come in and spoon with her, and just put your hand right there and cup her ass, like not do anything, just put your hand there. I mean, these are the simple pleasures. You're not doing anything. You're just getting comfortable. And if your wife, like you said, has or as Al Pacino said in Heat, she's got a great ass. I mean, anyone knows. You know what? I'm telling you, there's something about that. It drives you crazy. But you know what it comes from? I have to say this. It's the appreciation of art, because I do think, look, I respect women, I love women, but there is something to be said about the aesthetics of women. We are biologically hardwired to notice beauty, and it might be
Symmetry.
every person, every man has a different. And I know, look, yes, my non-binary friends, I please, I am speaking just for this moment as a lascivious, white, cis, middle-aged male. And I just want to say that, I mean, a woman's body, especially when you can curl up next to the woman you love in the house you share, God damn, that's some good stuff, man. You cannot, I hope it's never outlawed. I never want, people talk, well, the male gaze. I'm like, no, I don't want my male gaze to go away. I'll limit my male gaze. I won't walk around, in
That's
the
too
world.
bad that you have to limit the male gaze. Like that seems
Never
very
gonna
cruel,
happen.
doesn't it?
It's never gonna happen.
Well, I mean, no, I can't admit it. That like when I walk down the street, I'm just. I'll tell you something interesting. When I worked on Lord of the Rings and Chronicles of Narnia and Superman Returns, I was in Australia and New Zealand. They wear different perfumes there. And one of the things I loved, I mean, I don't know what it is, but the perfumes, the scents women wore were the most in Australia, specifically, and I have to say in France as well, but in Australia and New Zealand, I would walk down the street, and I would, and this is going to seem weird, but trust me, it's not. And I might be 20 feet away from some woman. But you would follow. There would be she would be wearing a perfume. Like I remember, I was in college, and there was a girl that wore this perfume called Poison.
Yes.
And it was the most intoxicating scent. I couldn't get it out of my mind. But yet I would just walk around in downtown Sydney and just be like, I felt like Hannibal Lecter, or that character in the book and movie Perfume. I'm just like, oh my God. I mean, it was like walking eroticism in the air. It's amazing. And I loved it.
To attract and be,
But
have
this was 16 years ago. And I feel like even admitting it now, people are like, Robert Burnett is lascivious, white cis male. Like, let's cancel that guy.
I mean, I put on cologne hoping that someone will smell it. So
Yeah.
that's the purpose of it.
Yeah, no,
Scent
it's
of a woman.
Yes.
my God. And what another, he might be not talking about a woman's ass like he was in Heat, but by God, is Scent of a Woman a delightful movie. It's so good.
It's wonderful coming of age film. It's just one of his best performances.
Martin Brest.
Going back to our first. I'm sorry. Go.
No, go ahead.
Going back to how we started this, again, an artist, Pacino, in it till the day he dies, consummate actor, he really, back in the day, for a long time, didn't do interviews because he believed in the mystery of the artist. It's OG. You wish more actors were like that.
Yeah, I
I
love that.
We don't need to know who you voted for or whatever. We just want you to disappear in these roles and
Yes, sir.
and make us believe, and that's what Pacino and all the greats do. God, I love Pacino, man. I have no problem with him being Scarface.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, and you again, it's like you can't see. Someone said it earlier too. That man is also a thespian. New thespians are like a Lin-Manuel Miranda that comes from Broadway, comes from theater. You're just in awe of these human beings, like this, like give us so much. It's just like, damn. And we, again, I'm talking about the art. I'm not talking about their politics or whatever. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And,
Okay.
and if Cameron Diaz if she's happy, God bless her.
Yep.
Yes.
She had a great run.
Okay, speaking of that, I gotta address this super chat.
Yeah.
It's from Scooter Mattoon, who says, I can't believe I'm going to read this out loud. Nothing's going to stop us now. One of the best movie songs ever. I look at my other one, Rob. Is that's Starship, right? Nothing's going to stop us now. It's not.
I don't remember. I remember the song, but I don't remember the artist.
I think it's Starship, which used to be Jefferson Airplane.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, White Rabbit, one of the most iconic songs of the 60s, and then they graduate in the 80s to Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now. I can't go with you there on it. I'm sure it's a good song, but I much rather listen to White Rabbit, especially as it was used in David Fincher's The Game. But not a bad question, Scooter. If you like the song, that's all that's important.
It was a hit in the 80s, right? It was a hit.
It was a huge hit. Huge hit.
So.
Justin Bass. I'm going to say Bass from now on. I mean, although Justin Bass is a really cool name, too. Justin says, imaginary midget on Instagram, look at DMs. You will see the books you just showed me at a 9.8 for $99. I spec those books. 60 hours walk with the mustache Cavill. Justin, how much have you had to drink tonight, sir? And I mean that with all due respect. I just don't quite know, but I'm gonna look. up imaginary midget on Instagram. By the way, we can't see that or can't say that anymore. We have to say imaginary little person.
Well, we're not even casting little people anymore. You know, there's no tattoo in little person in the new Fantasy Island. I believe it's gonna be a female with a tattoo on her wrist or something like that.
Yeah, you know, someone asked me recently, do you think Peter Dinklage could be the new 007? And I was like, why not? And I said, you know, if you were a little person, what's interesting is half the population doesn't see you at all, which gives you a great way to be an infiltrator. But when you're caught, you're fucked, so there's an offset there. And I said, well, first of all, I love Peter Dinklage, even pre-Thrones when he was in The Station Agent.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why couldn't he be James Bond? Why couldn't Peter Dinklage be the next 00? He might not look like Sean Connery, but he certainly can kick ass. You know, it's not about... Remember, in the in-universe proscenium of the Bond franchise, you know, people are taken seriously. It's not like people are like, huh, we're in a James Bond movie, we don't have to take it seriously. The characters don't know.
But I gotta believe that it's whatever they're showing me. You know.
Yeah.
It can't be too far out of the realm of possibility.
No, and that's verisimilitude. You know, the great thing about storytelling is you have to make people believe. And whether it's a horror or sci-fi film, like I always go back to Lee Whannell's reboot of The Invisible Man for Blumhouse, made for $8 million. That movie was really clever. You know, it was really fun. It updated the idea of the Invisible Man to the modern age, and I thought it did a great job. And it was
I liked the first half. I thought the first part of it was very clever. I thought that the second part was just ran out of gas.
It gets perfunctory. It's like, well,
yeah, it was very perfunctory.
We have to kill these people. We have to kill our creature now, or our ex-husband, whatever. But yeah, right. I get that, and I
like the first part. You're right, and it was like, you know, it was very, very cleverly, you know, making telling its message.
Yeah,
in a very unique new way. Yeah, it was pretty cool. But then it was cool. Just like,
well, kids,
yeah,
we're done. We're done with super chats. I think it's been 3 hours. I think we've had a great show. I think we should call it a night.
Okay.
Because I have so much work to do. But I want to thank both Latino Slant, Polly from Latino Slant. By the way, you did all go to Latino Slant and subscribe, right? You did.
Yes.
And if you haven't, before you, please, if you go out the door, subscribe to this channel too. But afterwards, so I would ask you, Polly, where can people find you online?
On YouTube, the Latino Slant. Right now, we're featuring a great video we did. It's a 40-minute video, filmmaker discussion with director Kenneth Castillo and Cameron Pasha and Robert Meyer Burnett.
No,
incredible. Yeah, it's the featured video. It has been like the last 48 hours.
I did. You asked me. I tweeted that out, and actually, I've got a lot of. Somebody actually pulled out something I said and retweeted it back to me, which I forgot. Which was, I said that making an independent film is an inherently optimistic act.
Yes.
And
filmmaker.
I believe that 100% because you're creating something from nothing. And I think it was great. But somebody liked that. So people are watching. I thought that was he was really interesting. I mean, I thought that was a really great conversation. And by the way, that's what you're doing, Polly. Pardon me, Latino. You're elevating the discourse. And everything you do is adding, you're classing up the joint. And I think that's what YouTube needs.
We got a little Hollywood insider info on Robert Rodriguez's HBO Max deal.
Yeah.
And the rumor that he is working with Ben Affleck on a Warner Brothers, IP. So I got a little inside source on that one. That video's up. Just you got
to get in there, man.
Yeah.
Become a writer producer. Why not? If not you, who? If not now,
why not?
When?
Here's the key, though, if you want to be on a guest on Midnight Metal, is I took a nap. As soon as you invited me, I took a nap. And then I got coffee, and I'm like, I'm wide awake. I feel great right now.
Well, I'm going to end this stream, but I want to not... I can't... I would be remiss if I didn't talk to... You got to tell me...
Yes.
Explain what's happening on this channel. What are you doing? What have you done? What have you wrought?
What have I wrought for...
The Post-Geek singularity, you know, like, what have you done?
Well, my goal was that the PGS members are a very special community, because we're a community that cares about artistry, we care about one another, and with so many members, it only makes sense to promote ourselves to one another and get to know each other better. And I think that allows creators to become even more creative and more successful.
Yep.
So the idea is that a show called PGS All-Stars is all about the PGS community and getting all the wonderful work that creators in our community are doing out and to everyone else, so that everyone knows what's going on. So, I'm very excited about this. There's incredible talent in this community. And I think that, by supporting each other, we're going to go far. And I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I mean, the one thing about the channel is to bring people together and interact. And I love the fact that over the last, month, whether it's the Phantasmagoria show or whether it's the Richard and Bunyan Snipe, I love seeing other people create shows. I think it's great. I love it.
Yes. And the intention is, for all of you members out there who do have your channels, I want to have you on the show.
Yeah.
You're going to talk about your channel. You're going to talk about your interests, and keep the conversation going in our community, helping each other out if that's what needs to be done. And I think that it'll benefit everybody. So, I got inspired by all the members of the PGS to do this.
Yeah, which is great. Fantastic. That's the community we have, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Love it. Now, Paulie, you've kind of done the same thing on your channel.
Yes.
And you're creating a community, like-minded people. How do you do that?
How do I do that? What do we have another hour? What do you do?
Oh, no. Okay. We should stop.
Some words of advice from Paulie. That's what I think.
That's it. I would just ask. I mean, obviously, people are attracted to you. They come to you. And is that something you consciously court? Or are you just yourself and people find you and they dig you? How do you create community? I know I shouldn't say that. But...
I think for me it's whatever I'm putting out there, the community I'm creating, I'm thinking of them.
Yeah, I agree.
That's
I agree with that.
We had a film critic on, with last week talking about the best Latino films of 2021 so far.
Right.
And she had talked to me earlier. She was like, "Oh, you don't get she's a film critic. You don't get the promote. What do you call them? When you see the movies early,
trailers or public sneak
right?
Sneak,
whatever the right the screeners. I'm like, no, I pay for everything that I talk about.
Right.
I don't want to do that bullshit. I'm not. It's a YouTube channel. I don't want anything to do with any of that stuff. If I bought this new Chicano literature book called Throne. It's so far so good, but
nice.
I can give my opinion on it because I paid for it. You know what I'm saying? I paid for this movie or that or whatever, and I think people like that.
Agreed. I agree,
sir.
with you. Well, listen, kids.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank the two of you from the bottom up profusely. I want to thank Paulie from Latino Slant. Go subscribe. Now, do you have anywhere on social media where people can find you?
Yes, the Burnettwork.
All right. Well, there you go. That's all you need. And by the way, when I'm gone, starting on the week of the 21st, you will see new show. What's it called?
It's called PGS All Stars.
PGS All Stars, and maybe you will be on it. But I want to thank both Polly and for participating in this, the 39th episode of a ridiculous show that people seem to love. And, of course, our Friday nights are very erudite and all that. And Saturday nights are, well, I don't want to pass out, but you never know. You could. But I want to thank you all for supporting the channel. I want to thank everybody who sent in generous super chats and tips. Thank you so much. I want to thank my moderators. I want to thank, well, who's here? Bunyan, Snipe, and the Richard, who are the co-stars of debut show, which is going to run for like an entire week when I'm gone. Nice. So thank you for that. Thank you both Bunyan, thank you the Richard, and especially thank you for doing it. Very cool. So I want to thank you both for being on the channel. It's another fine episode of Midnight Metal. But now it's time to go to bed at a reasonable hour, because I have more to do on the Robservatory the next day. I can't tell you. So, Paulie, do you have any final words for the folks at home?
Yeah, really quick. I know Tom is in the chat. Midnight's Edge, our other project that we've been working on, Midnight's Edge Espanol.
Yes.
We hit a stride, and like that, we're over 2,200 subscribers, monetized. Latin America is like, really taking to it. So we're doing that as well. Much love to Andre and Tom.
That's awesome. Andre and Tom deserve the love. So, other than a new show, what else can you tell us about yourself? What's going on?
I also support Midnight's Edge in Espanol. I'm the wrench for the show, and I can tell you it's a fantastic show. I haven't missed a show. Please check out Midnight's Edge in Espanol. The topics are always wonderful, and you're going to love it. So please check it out.
Such a cool idea, too. What a great thing you're doing. I mean, talk about something that's new to the YouTube space. Amazing. Fantastic. And on that note, I would say to everyone, thank you for supporting the channel via tips and super chats. And if you want to send us a letter, you can, free of charge, at the Burnettwork.net website. If you want to write a letter to or to Latino Slant or to anyone that appears on this channel, you can, and I'll read it aloud. So, there you go. And I want to thank the two of you for being here. What a fun show this was. I feel like I'm a little enlightened. I feel like I'm a better person going to sleep tonight than I was when I woke up this morning. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna sleep well. I think you got one super chat that just came in.
I do. Yes, I do. Mr. Grant Gregory says, I finally got on Midnight Metal episode 38. I was edited out. Kind of a bummer. Just saying, well, let me just say, I was so sloppy drunk that if I ever wanted to work again in the world, I had to get rid of that video, because people would have memed the shit out of me. So, Mr. Grant Gregory, you and I will set up a time. I will put you on the show again and make sure we have a very nice, quiet conversation where I'm actually coherent. So, there you go, sir. I know I cut you out. I apologize. And on that note, kind folks, remember, every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear. And all you have to do is listen. And with that, I want to thank Paulie and Latino Slant. Have you subscribed to his channel? Why not? Go right now. We're signing off. Go to Latino_Slant on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. That doesn't mean you can't subscribe to this channel too, but go and you don't have a channel. People can't subscribe.
No, but the new show is going to be on the Burnettwork, so you can find it right here.
Yes, absolutely. And I will promote it and make commercials. I'm very excited. Well, the two of you, thank you. What a great Friday night. Now, early Saturday morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, chat. Thank you.
All right, kids. And I'll see you tomorrow night. Dave Parker's going to be here on Midnight Metal, episode 40.
Wow.
Oh, my God. We're so old. The hair's falling out. You need blue pills. I know. I don't. I mean, I don't. But some
You
people
can't
do.
be old at 50 anymore, Robert. You can't.
No, I'm good. I don't need chemical. It's fine. And on that note, to all of you, I would say